Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and the Beard. This is the Week 12 edition of the Giant Overreaction. Giants end up taking that L to the Dallas Cowboys 28-20, man. I hope y'all all enjoyed your Thanksgiving. Appreciate everybody checking out the instant reaction video we dropped right after the game, man. I'm a little bit under the weather today, man. We had a child at the Thanksgiving dinner who seemed to have the flu, was coughing like they was hitting some pack, maybe some Giants pack, and it seemed to spread around everybody around the table. We got about 3 or 4 folks in the family that are sick right now. My shorty's dealing with the flu as well. So I'm trying to battle this here, man. The immune system is definitely kicking in, but y'all know what it is, man. I'm here on my Andrew Thomas vibes. Definitely couldn't miss a Giant Overreaction. Get to come here and chop it up with y'all in what I think is probably the most important week for the New York Giants here, man, and our most important stretch coming up, man, after losing those 2 games, man, back-to-back there. So we're going to see how things go with this Giant Overreaction show, man. I can't guarantee y'all this is going to be a 8-hour show like my homie Stan was promoting on Twitter, man. But shout out to the gang. Y'all know what it is, man. Took that L 28-20. Not a big deal here, man. Y'all know what it is. We thought this was definitely going to be a tough game against the Dallas Cowboys. But before I get started here, man, let's see who's popping up in the chat. I saw the homie Jameson was in the building. And shout out to Jameson. He was over there in William Steele's stream earlier today at around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. I see your mother's dealing with some sickness there, man. So best wishes to you and the family, Jameson. I hope all is well there. I told you I was going to give you 4 shout-outs on the show. I think I gave you 4 shout-outs on the last show. So shout out to you. My homie Stan is in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. He tried to beat J-Mo, didn't get there one time. J. Jean settling for that Browns. What's popping, J. Jean? I hope all is well. Shout out to Zeke, man. I definitely appreciate that early super chat to start the show off on the right foot here, man. Just cuz. What up, beloved? Hope all is well with you, Zeke, on this Monday here, man. Feels like this Giants game was like last week. Them Thursday games always definitely throw me for a loop, but you know what it is. Shout out to Gregory one time in the building, too. I saw him over there at William Steele's channel, man. Y'all was talking some good stuff over there about the Giants game. It's really good to see, you know, the perspective from the Cowboys fan base, man. And shout out to y'all over there, man. Y'all always show me a lot of love over there. Very balanced. I've seen some other Giants content creators complaining about the other fan bases, especially the Dallas Cowboys fan base after this thrashing y'all gave us on Thursday. But they showed me a lot of love over there, man. So big salute to everybody over there at William Steele's channel. And if y'all not subscribed, make sure you go check out A to Z Dallas Cowboys, man. They do some great content over there. Real good peoples, too, man, more importantly. So shout out to you, Gregory. Who else in the building? I see the homie Michael Knight is in the building. That took some effort there, man. I know y'all can hear it. I know y'all know I got the baritone voice and whatnot, but today I'm on the extra baritone vibes. Like I said, man, feeling a little bit under the weather. We're going to try to make it through, though. We're going to try and do what we do here. Sean G in the building. What's good, fam? Hope you're doing well. Yes, this is definitely a must-win Sunday, man. We're going to try to make it up there for this game, too. And if we're not at this Washington matchup in New York, you could definitely pull up on us. Green Lot E, we're going to be at FedEx Field for the second matchup for sure coming up in 3 weeks here. But shout out to the homie Sean G. I see Mac, the Giants fan, in the building, man. I was tuned into their show after the game, too, with him and Adam Costas. Definitely dropping gems over there, man. Shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Mac, the Giants fan. Good peoples over there, man. Good peoples over there. Sebastian in the building one time. Sakpa said, mon cher, I hope all is well. Kevin the PRF is in the building. Salute. Kevin was dropping some gems on Twitter, too. Shout out to Kevin the PRF one time, man, representing. Brian's in the building. You already know Brian in the building. After any controversial Daniel Jones game, I can expect my homie Brian to be in the chat, man. Shout out to Brian one time, man, representing for the gang. You know what it is, man. Zach is in the building. Let me see what Zach talking about. He says, I believe it shows that Daniel Jones is not the answer at quarterback because he does not show up in the big moments. Yeah, we're going to get to talking about that during this Giant Overreaction, Zach. I got a lot of these overreactions are catered towards the quarterback 100%. And this has been a topic going around, especially on Twitter. A lot of people have been talking about Daniel Jones, you know, if he's the guy, if he's not the guy, especially after these 2 performances we've seen. And what's crazy is the back-to-back performances are the most yards that Daniel Jones has thrown for on the season. But, you know, there are definitely some low spots here in both of these games. And, you know, trailing in both of these games, trying to catch up, you know, trailing on the scoreboard and whatnot. You're seeing the Giants have to throw the ball. And I'm going to bring up the Paul Schwartz interview again, man. I think that's a very important point that he brought up right before the Detroit Lions game about when you have to throw the ball over 30, 35 times to try to get back in the game. What's the plan, and how effective can this New York Giants team be when they have to throw the ball that much? So I think, Zach, you bringing up a really good point here. Sit tight. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to these shout-outs. I'm going to briefly recap the game here. I'm not going to get too in-depth. I mean, it's been a couple of days here. I'm sure y'all already know what the deal is with this game, but we'll talk a little bit about it. I got a couple of key points I want to talk about as well, as far as some of the momentum shifts in this game, but we'll get to that. I think, Zach, you brought up a really good point here. Shout out to AJ Nix one time in the building. Says, yeah, Authentik, second half adjustments out the window these past 2 games. Yeah, man, and it's it's unfortunate in this Dallas Cowboys game because it seems like they made the second half adjustments in this one. 13-7 at the half, and they just come out in the second half and really blow the socks off the New York Giants, man. It was unfortunate, man, and the game got out of control extremely quickly in that second half. But we're definitely going to get into that. I got about 5 or 6 Giant overreactions we're going to go over today, see how y'all feeling about it. And I think we're at a good point in the season where, we can be a little bit less optimistic, and we won't need to push as much on this show. We'll probably be able to have some solidified answers here and be able to go one way or the other with some positive answers here. So hang tight, AJ Nix. I appreciate you pulling up, rocking with us on this Monday afternoon, man. Brian T is definitely in the building saying, what's up, everybody? What's up, Brian? I hope all is well with you, fam. On this Monday, man, I'm trying to hang in there, man. This little cough, I don't know if it's a little flu or what. Since I've moved to D.C., I used to live right outside of D.C., outside the city in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I've been out here now for going on 8 years. I really don't get sick that much, and I can feel my immune system battling right now, trying to keep me above water here one time. So hope you're doing well on this Monday afternoon, Brian. Who else we got in the building? We got Alpha Mason in the building one time. What's poppin', fam? He says, what's good, Authentik? And salute to the chat. Y'all know what it is. The gang is in the building. Benny's in the building after that big Washington Commanders win. I was texting the Beard right after that Washington game. It literally is the most upset I've been the entire season because the Atlanta Falcons really reeled me in, man, on that last drive. And I mean, they get down there to like the 2-3 yard line. I thought that was going to be a victory for the Atlanta Falcons, and I feel like they have more of a chance to collapse, down the stretch here than the Washington Commanders do, especially that we have to play the Washington Commanders twice. It really puts the fate in their own hands. And a lot of Giants fans were saying, oh, no, we wanted the Falcons to win. I just disagree, man. I really wanted the Commanders to lose this game, and now the Commanders got the same amount of wins as the New York Giants. Things are getting real tight here, man. I see the homie Beard is in the chat one time, too. I know him and Benny are definitely ecstatic on this Monday. The Beard tweeted out victory week literally about 20 minutes after the clock hit midnight. I was like, bruh, you did not waste no time. He was definitely clowning me with a couple of gifts on Twitter and whatnot. And when I say gifts, I'm not talking about like gifts for Christmas. I know the holidays are approaching. I'm talking about the GIF, the GIF con. And I was definitely upset, man. That game, the way that went down to the wire, and their coach to make the decision to throw the ball from the 2 yard line gave me extreme Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll vibes in the Super Bowl, man. It just very disheartening loss for me. I was throwing stuff around the studio, man. I was punching couches. I was looking like Trey from Boys in the Hood. I was punching the air, bruh. It was a ugly scene here, man. And, congratulations to the Washington Commanders. Congratulations to the whole Cowboys nation. Y'all took care of business. And the Eagles, man, they took care of business on Sunday night, man, in a game where the Green Bay Packers really tried to test them. They really did. And now the standings are looking a good chunk closer now. You got the Eagles at 9-1, which I'm not too upset about that. I felt like we were playing with house money last night with the Eagles against the Packers. If the Packers beat them, then, hey, the race gets a little bit tighter. But I want the Eagles to kind of get, more of a lead here in the NFC East so that when it comes down to that last game of the season, we can possibly bank on the Eagles resting their starters. I know people have been telling me on Twitter, hey, man, you sounding real desperate. Yes, I'm very desperate, okay? I have gauged the New York Giants team here after these last couple of weeks. I kind of think I know where we stand here. And I'm not banking on the New York Giants to handle business. Everybody's like, yeah, we handle our own fate and blah, blah, blah. Man, we've lost 3 of our last 4 games here, man. And the Giants, things are looking like they've fallen off a little bit here. And I think this team is kind of falling back down to earth to where we really should be. And the 7-1 record that we had earlier in the season is starting to look a little bit like smoke, if you ask me. But I won't let the cat out the bag. I got a couple of Giant overreactions here that we're going to go over. The Cowboys are sitting at 8-3. The Giants are sitting at 7-4 in third place, and the Commanders are right there. They're at 7-5. The only reason why they're in last place in the bottom of the division is because of that 5th loss. They're the one team that hasn't had their bye yet. And, the New York Giants lost, we're losing the division matchup there. So the Commanders are going to have the tiebreaker on the New York Giants. So this game coming up is going to be super, 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 super important. Again, shout out to the whole gang in the chat, man. I see all of y'all. I'm going to try to, stay in tune and keep that chat popping and stay up to date with it. I see Shaheed Davis has a long one here. Let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. Shaheed Davis says, this whole turn of events is just a big overreaction from the fan base. We got so used to winning that we don't like losing. Also wish people would just stand by our quarterback until he's not the quarterback anymore. Shaheed, this makes perfect sense right here. And if you looked at my instant reaction, a lot of people was giving me flack about the instant reaction on the one I released, I believe I released that Friday morning. And a lot of people even came to Twitter. A couple of homies came to Twitter to give me a bunch of flack about it. Like you're being a little bit too easy on the quarterback. I said the quarterback played a bad game, but my thing is like this. The team lost that game. That's not a game where you could look at it and say, oh, man, the Giants were right there in it because everybody was playing right and the quarterback let us down. The team let us down across the board, and we can't forget about what's happening with this Giants team, the injuries that we are dealing with, the next man up type of vibes. I know it's worked out for pretty much the whole entire season, and we've definitely overexceeded expectations. I mean, beginning of the year, you had Kayvon Thibodeau out. We had Azeez Ojulari out, and it seemed like we were still finding ways to get pressure on the quarterback. This secondary was supposed to be one of the weaker units when we came into the year. We thought cornerback 2 was definitely going to be an issue, and the secondary stepped up. We relied on Wink Martindale to send the blitz in these games, and in return, the Giants were winning games. The defense was looking really good. I had the defense as far as hierarchy for the New York Giants right up there at the top with Coach Wink Martindale and Brian Dable. I think that has been the backbone for this team all year long. Couple injuries, a couple of mishaps, and now this defense has come back down to earth. And I think Shaheed sums this up pretty perfect right here. It's like, it is a big overreaction because I think the 7-1 record had a lot of fans thinking like, okay, this New York Giants team is really, really good. When in reality, I think this New York Giants team is probably still in the rebuild, still a good team, but we're not a great team by any means necessary. And when I get to these overreactions, we'll definitely talk about this a lot more in depth, man. But Shaheed, you dropping gems right there. I mean, that's a great point you got right there. And shout out to Chase Nichols. I think Chase Nichols is a new face in the building. I think Shaheed might be a new face as well. I'm not too sure. But Chase Nichols says, how can they not collapse? It's only a matter of time with no weapons. That we're going to talk about this, y'all. I want y'all to sit tight. A lot of the overreactions have to do with what people have been talking about on Twitter, about the collapse, about if we can, rally up and try to get into the playoffs. Looks like we're going to have to win about 3 games. So make sure y'all hang tight. I'm going to try to keep this show pretty condensed and, just so we don't, get too lengthy with the length of the show and whatnot, and we can, harp on some really good points that we need to get to. I think I got 6 overreactions. So just sit tight. We're going to get there. I think y'all are all bringing up the obvious points. These are glaring points that we got to talk about today. So shout out to y'all, all of y'all for pulling up in the building, man. I definitely appreciate that. Caden Wade is in the building. He also says, what's up, guys? Kai's in the building. Shout out to Kai. I saw Kai over there in William Steele's stream earlier today as well, man. They was all talking some good stuff about the Cowboys, and not just all positives. They were talking a lot negatives, talking about CeeDee Lamb and the issues going across the middle for the Dallas Cowboys defense when they can't stretch the field across the middle, having problems with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott connecting. But CeeDee Lamb did have a really good game in this one. Let me see who else is in this one right here. Just making sure I shout out all of y'all that showed up early, man, because I appreciate all of y'all who be here with the notification bell on, pull up right on time. I definitely appreciate that, man. Shout out to Mike K in the building. He says, late to the party. Takeaway for me is the Giants just aren't explosive. If the running game isn't working, our mistakes are amplified. That's spot on right there as well. I talked about this with the title of the last Giant Overreaction. I believe that was last week or 2 weeks ago. It was Stop Saquon, Stop the Giants. And people were kind of like, I don't know, we got this, that. Listen, man, that's what the story is. If you stop Saquon, you got a great chance of beating the New York Giants. So I think Mike K is spot on right here. Salute to Mike K for pulling up early in the building one time. Jeffrey Harrell is in the building too. He says, we will win this week. Keep that thought in mind, Jeffrey. We're going to be talking about that Washington game just a little bit. And make sure y'all pull up tomorrow. We're going to be doing the NFC East recap with the beard. Y'all know how we do, man. All 4 games. We're going to be talking about that as well. So make sure y'all pull up 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me see. This is Mr. B Mad T is in the building. This is a new face in the building, man. Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you pulling up, rocking with us. He says this season is the perfect step in the right direction. Yo, y'all dropping gems early in here, man. And I think a lot of Giants fans, especially the younger ones, they're going to get down about the back-to-back losses, the losing 3 out of the last 4 games. But This is what it is, man. The OG Giants fans know, man. We've been losing for about a decade here. And yeah, we are definitely in the right direction. We're seeing a couple of chinks in the armor of the coaching staff, I'd say, especially with Brian Dable. I think he's losing his cool a little bit too early in games, hoping that things go their way early and often. And when they don't, you're seeing a coach who's losing his mind pretty much on the sidelines. Not in like I don't want to overreact on that, no pun intended, but I'm just seeing it be a constant theme. You saw him blowing up on the lineman, Jack Anderson, the one game. There was a good stretch there where you didn't see a lot of that. He blew up on Daniel Jones early in the season. Daniel Jones kind of corrected that, started playing some really good football. The last couple of games, though, within these 3 losses in the last 4 games, I'm seeing Brian Dable kind of, just a couple of chinks in the armor, just a couple. But I think you're dropping some gems right here. We're definitely in the right direction for sure. Let me see. Brian's talking about Daniel Bellinger. Bellinger will be a full go when he returns. He will be key in righting the ship on this offense. So will Neal. I thought you was going to give me some good news here, man, because it's very, very important that Daniel Bellinger gets back in the lineup. And Evan Neal's a big part of the running game, man. So, yeah, you definitely dropping gems here. Jay Jean says, on a positive note, if we this good this early in the rebuild, I feel positive about the future. We ain't great, but baby steps. I like the positive vibes y'all have today because this is definitely what it is. I know we fell back down to earth with these losses, but yeah, y'all. I think y'all got the right mindset. It's been a couple of days. We've had a couple of days to get to think about this loss too. This was one of the better Giant overreactions for me because I had a lot of time to prepare for it and not come into it with my feelings, and really just bring the facts, to be honest. And that's why I did the instant reaction on Friday to kind of get that out the way, just like all the feelings about the game coming out of the Dallas Cowboys loss and whatnot. And, also just trying to put things in perspective as well. So shout out to Jay Jean. That's a good point you bring up here. The Moore family says, what's up, squad? I know we've been playing badly, but I don't know why people acting like we can't beat the Commanders or the Colts. LOL. Yeah, that's a good point too, man. Those are both we'll call 3 games that are winnable games for sure. But, I live in Washington, D.C. I'm not sleeping on the Commanders. The Commanders have definitely been playing some good football. And the crazy part about it is their quarterback has not been playing that fantastic. He had an interception in his first 4 starts. The last couple of games is very mediocre play, and I know the Washington Commanders fan base is rallying behind him. But I've been seeing a lot of people also saying, like, man, I saw the homie, what's my homie's name from Street I want to say it's Street Scores. I can't remember the name of his channel. I think it's Street Scores. But he's a Washington Commander content creator that I'm always checking out. And he said if they had a good quarterback, they could be making a Super Bowl run. I overreacted when I first read it. I was typing. I was all like, oh, man, thinking this dude's crazy and whatnot. And I started thinking about it. And I'm like, well, where are the holes on that team? It's really at the quarterback position, a couple of holes as far as, the health department as far as on the offensive line and the linebackers. But outside of that Washington Commanders team, man, they got a great secondary out there that's balling out right now. Cam Curl is playing top 10 safety football right now. Fuller's playing great ball. Derek Forrest playing great football right now. We already know what's happening up front. Their front kept them in that game against the Atlanta Falcons, getting pressure on Marcus Mariota all day long. And the wide receiver core, man, I think their weapons are pretty slept on. And when they have a healthy Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel, they can do a lot of damage with that team. It does seem like the quarterback's kind of holding them back. They got 2 good running backs. Brian Robinson's really, really turning the corner here, man. He's running tough, man. For me, he's like, there's not a lot of running backs that run with that style anymore. You got Derrick Henry and you got, what's my man from Carolina that I really like too? Deontay Foreman runs with a very physical style. What's the homie from Atlanta? He runs pretty physical too. Algier, he runs pretty physical. But Brian Robinson, man, he's been running extremely physical. They got a great team over there in the Commanders. I'm not sleeping on them at all. Definitely not sleeping. And let me see, we getting caught up here. Sly Cooper's in the building one time. He says, Awthentik, do we end up signing Odell? What is your whole opinion on the Odell situation? If we do sign him, what do you think the contract will look like? I do got an overreaction that's about Odell. I was kind of skeptical to put it in here. Just because, like, it's like everybody talking about Odell. And I'd be ecstatic if we sign Odell, just simply off the fact of to kind of rewrite the narrative a little bit. And you do see a lot of Giants fans backpedaling. A lot of these Giants fans didn't like Odell. And when he got traded, they seemed like they were happy. I'll keep it funky with you. For me, I'm a huge Odell fan. He's one of my favorite New York Giants of all time. To me, he's the best Giants wide receiver we've ever had. I think Amani Toomer's number 2, just because Odell did it in such a short span, man. 33 touchdowns in 3 seasons. It was just ridiculous. 5 years, I think he was here, 6 years, man. And he just lit up the record book. As far as the contract goes, I see a lot of people saying, oh, well, I don't want to sign Odell because he's going to demand $20 million. I don't see Odell demanding $20 million right now. He's coming off of 2 ACL injuries. He balled out for the Rams for sure in the Super Bowl. Was looking like he was on his way to an MVP. But I don't see him demanding no $20 million. Some people have been saying, league minimum. I don't know if it'll be that or not, but hopefully, if we do sign him, it's a friendly deal. We all know about the fiasco that happened on the plane or whatever that just happened just a couple of days ago and whatnot. But I don't know the situation. I'm not going to speak on that too much. When I don't know, I don't like to give too many opinions because that's how you could really, look like an ass making assumptions. And that's not my swagger over here. Let me see. I just want to make sure I'm answering the question as much as I can without letting the cat out the bag about some of these overreactions. I'd welcome Odell all day. And a lot of people will be upset if he goes to Dallas. I'd be upset if he goes to Dallas too, because I think if we do make it to the playoffs, there's a good chance that we're going to have to see Dallas. So I'll leave it right there for now. I'll try to make that Odell Beckham overreaction. I'll put that one in the top of the list so we can get to that one pretty early. Who else we got in the building? I see Jonathan Studios is in the building. He's talking about a lot of the injuries. And he likes how the Giants kept that game close. That's facts right there. Let me see who else we got here. Bubs is in the building. Shout out to Bubs one time in the building. My homie Word is in the building. Shout out to Word, man. Day one in the building. NFC East just got to be the best division when Giants come back to winning football. That's facts, man. I'm looking forward to this Giants team getting into the rebuild and also like being the front runner of this division that has a lot of talent in this division right now. We definitely got a lot of talent in this division. Shout out to my homies, Ref the District, one time in the building. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Giants fans, if y'all want that insight, man, go subscribe to Ref the District, man. They drop a lot of good gems over there about the Washington Commanders, man. And I know they're going to be talking about us this week. Shout out to Stoner over there, too, man, who said we was frauds a couple of weeks ago. I was kind of limbo and like, I don't know if we frauds, man. But, I don't think we're as good as people think we are. I think we're somewhere in the middle, but make sure y'all go subscribe to Ref the District, man. Good folks over there as well. Sly's talking about Aziz being back in the lineup. That would definitely help us out for sure. Just want to make sure I got everybody who's in the building. Bookend Tackles is in the building. Shout out to Bookend Tackles in the building. 84 is in the building. I saw him over there, William Steele's channel earlier, man. Big salute, man. Happy holidays to you, brother. D. Biddle in the building. He says 3-year, 15, 20 million. I disagree with that, man. If they give... The thing is if it happens this year for Odell, I don't think it'll be that high of a contract. Plenty of incentives as well, definitely. When I'm making my my 2K my career build, the incentives is very important. You gotta get the shoe deals, all that stuff. So that's definitely very important. But 20 million this year, I think that'd be a little bit too high for real. Okay, so we're all caught up. Let me see. Kevin the PR says Law Nation stays live 24 hours a day. Shout out to Law Nation. I like Law Nation's channel, man. He's got good high quality over there, man. Rocking that SM7B microphone, good cameras. I'm definitely digging his vibe. All right, so let's recap this game just a little bit here, and then we'll go into some of these overreactions. Yeah, we're doing good time, man. About a good 20 minutes, and we're doing good time here. So let's talk about a little bit of what I saw in this game. If you want to get like a little bit more of the details, check out the instant reaction. I definitely, talk a little bit more about the statistics in that one. I'll go over some stats in this one as well, but let's talk about just where this game went a little bit left. Oh, also, Dan Dugan tweeted this out just a second ago. He said reinforcements are on the way. The Giants have 2 roster spots open, so hopefully we get some help here, man, because the injuries definitely took a toll in this game. All starters, for the most part, in this game that were out. John Feliciano was out with the neck injury. Evan Neal was out with the knee injury and an illness. Joshua Ezedu was out with the neck. Shane Lemieux was out with the toe injury, which probably wasn't a bad thing. He had a horrible debut when he did get in the lineup. Adoree Jackson, Fabian Moreau, our 2 starting cornerbacks were out. Adoree Jackson with the knee injury, they said 3 to 5 weeks. That was just a week ago, so we need to get him back in that lineup extremely fast. Fabian Moreau, who's been playing great man-to-man defense all year long, man, and y'all saw how we definitely suffered in this game against the Dallas Cowboys. Wink Martindale was sending the blitz for the most part of this game, and a lot of people wanted to fault Wink Martindale for that, man, but he was strapped, man. He didn't have a lot of house money in this game, man. He had to send the house because think if he would have just sat back in a soft zone defense, what this secondary would have looked like. It would have been extremely awful. It could have been worse, and I think he kept us in this game in that first half. In the second half, it was the bend don't break kind of philosophy, and it completely broke and it completely fell apart. Also, you can't forget about Daniel Bellinger with the eye injury, man, which is so unfortunate, man. You got knocked out with an eye injury, somebody raking him in his face mask. That's just not a good look. and obviously Xavier McKinney. So we were out with 3 of our 4 starters from the secondary. You already know. I know a lot of Cowboys fans might not know about this, man, but like when you are a Giants fan and you know what's going on in that secondary, which has struggled for the most part about 5 years, and you lose 3 of your starters as soon as we're on the up and up, that's something very difficult to overcome. And that was one of my main worries entering this game. Even though I did pick the Giants to win this one 23-20, I thought we were going to have a good shot in this game, but by no means did I expect a win. I was rallying behind my team. You know, that's what you got to do, especially in a big spot like this. You wanted to see this team show up. You wanted to see the guys who are depth pieces coming up from the practice squad, these players step up and play some good football. And that just wasn't the case, you know, and unfortunately we take the L in this one 28-20, and on the scoreboard, it looks a lot better. In fact, this game was really a 2-score game. Shout out to Bobby from Talking Giants, man, because when I watched their recap, everything that Bobby was saying is exactly how I was feeling about this game, man. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, this game was close. I'm like, well, it was close in the first half. It really wasn't close in the second half. Dallas Cowboys really handled business coming out the gate in the second half. But the Giants also had 3 substitute linemen in this game. You had Tyree Phillips at right tackle filling in for Evan Neal. You had Nick Gates filling in for John Feliciano at center. And Nick Gates did a hell of a job. I want to see Nick Gates get more snaps. Nick Gates is playing tough, gritty football. And then you had Jack Anderson starting at the left guard position, and he had a tough day. Tyree Phillips, man, he had the ineligible man downfield penalty called on him, which was a backbreaker, because if you can get a touchdown there, that's great for the New York Giants. Instead, you end up coming away, I believe, with no points on that drive. And then you also had the 3 reserves in the secondary. You had Cordell Flott, who started the game. And then you had Nick McLeod, who also started the game, and safety Jason Pinnock also started the game as well. And you saw a bunch of moving pieces in that secondary because we were struggling, man, early in this game. Cordell Flott was getting abused, man, and I think he's the one player on this defense where the youth really shows for him. I think Cordell Flott just needs a little bit more experience, and he got to hit that weight room just a little bit more. Michael Gallup was abusing him in one-on-one matchups, man, and just Michael Gallup making strong catches. William Steele was making a good point about this, man. Michael Gallup had some strong hands in this game. Plays on third down where you thought that, like, you know, they were going to be contested catches where they, you know, Michael Gallup would probably not come away with the reception. He was shining in this game. And let me see. I think Michael Gallup had 5 receptions on the day. Yeah, he had 5 receptions for 63 yards. I feel like a lot of that was in the first half. His longest reception was 25 yards on 8 targets. Cordell Flott was getting abused. And I really, you know, I don't like, especially in a big spot like this where you bring a guy up like that to step up in a big position. I didn't want to, like, rag on Cordell Flott, so I've really kind of stayed away from talking a lot of shit about him on Twitter and whatnot. I kind of just tried to keep it cool and just, like, act like it wasn't really happening. But it was ugly. It was extremely ugly. Shout out to the homie Havoc in the building one time, too. He says, Awthentik, what's your take on bringing up Landon Collins for more run stopping? Yeah, I mean, you would think Landon Collins could be a good piece to come up and stop the run. And the Cowboys gashed us in the run. I want to say it was 169 yards that the Cowboys had on the ground. Let me just double-check this real quick. Yeah, it was 169 yards on the ground, and the New York Giants only had 90. But that makes a good point. But then I think that a guy like Landon Collins will be a liability in coverage, you know, especially if you're starting him in the secondary. I think it's just a sketchy start. It might be high risk, high reward, but I think Jalen Smith gives us the best option to stopping the run right now, and that's not really a great option, to be honest. You have McFadden, you got Tay Crowder out there as well, but, like, we're suffering. I was talking about Washington Commanders having issues at the linebacker, but they got Cole Holcomb, who's been on the IR for a couple of games, who I think is a stud at the linebacker position. I forget the second-year linebacker they got over there who's been struggling a little bit. I think that's Davis, I believe. But Giants, man, our linebacker core is tough. When you got Jalen Smith out there, he led the team in tackles in this game, by the way. But when you got Jalen Smith out there, who you can see, he's hesitant sometimes, but I think he's doing a good job in a tough spot at the linebacker position. Yeah, and I see you talking about the Ric Flair flying elbow. Yeah, I saw that too. That was some payback for them Dallas Cowboys probably releasing him one time, man. But Jalen Smith, he's doing his best, man. And my thing is, I can applaud effort. I really do applaud effort. I think that, you know, these guys played the best they possibly could in this game. But just like William Steele was saying on his stream this morning, like, the Giants have good schemes. He talked about our offense, too. He was like, man, if the Dallas Cowboys were running the offense that the New York Giants had, it would look a lot better. He didn't use the word vanilla, but that's the kind of vibes I was getting from him. He was pretty much saying, like, you know, everything is, like, straightforward with the Dallas Cowboys offense. Whereas with the Giants offense, you know, you get a lot of pre-snap motions, a lot of crossing routes, a lot of design to get players off in space, rub routes. You know, Brian Dable coaching staff are doing a really good job of, trying to do what they can do with limited talent out here. And I think it's starting to show late in the season here with the injuries and all that. It's really, it's coming to a halt here. And this Giants offense that we know really wasn't high powered throughout most of the season is starting to like really, really fall flat in big games. And it's unfortunate. Shout out to the homie Lucas. I see you pulled up in the building. What up, fam? Hope all is well. He says, what's up to the AATB fam? Y'all know what it is, man. LFG, NYG. Till that casket dips, y'all know what it is. And it looks like that casket is kind of dipping here a little bit. But, we're trying our best, and I can applaud the effort in a rebuild. It's not the end of the world. That's what I can say about it. But Cordero Flott, you also have Rodarius Williams out there. Rodarius Williams did have the interception on the mishap from Dak Prescott when they thought they had us offsides, and then they tried to throw a back shoulder fade, and Rodarius Williams ended up coming up with the interception. Darnay Holmes was out there. He had an interception as well. I saw a lot of people giving Darnay Holmes flack, and I think Darnay Holmes, of all the players in the secondary that were asked to come up in a big spot and do some things there, Darnay Holmes was playing some tough football. CeeDee Lamb was beating him a couple times for sure, but CeeDee Lamb is not like some, we're not looking at CeeDee Lamb like he's one of the wide receivers on the New York Giants roster. CeeDee Lamb is a top wide receiver in this league. I don't care what nobody says. And maybe the numbers haven't showed it all this year, and a lot of people wanted him to step up in the number one slot this year. He got his second 100-yard game of the season. CeeDee Lamb's a guy. See, last year I was looking at CeeDee Lamb like, God damn, I wish we would have drafted CeeDee Lamb. And, he showed up in this game. I think he had 106 yards, 6 receptions. He showed up in this game. But you got guys like Terrell Burgess. Let me just keep it funky with y'all. I cover the New York Giants on a week-to-week basis with the beard. Y'all know what it is, 4 days a week, the best division in football, the best television show not on TV, right? I don't know who these dudes is. I'm going to keep it real. I don't know who a Terrell Burgess is. I don't know who a Trenton Thompson is. I might have seen these guys when they got signed, from the practice squad, whatever, but like their names don't even ring a bell. I had to literally type their names out so that I could remind myself to talk about these players, because both of them got their debut with the Giants in the secondary. There were times where you saw, six people in the secondary, 6 defensive backs on the field. I might have seen 7 defensive backs on the field at one point. And when you strap for talent like this, man, with the injuries, there's nothing you can really do, man. It's just nothing you can really do. And the Giants, they tried, but it just didn't work out in this game. The first half was a fortunate one, if you ask me. The Cowboys were making hella mistakes, and the Giants actually weren't capitalizing on those mistakes to the full degree, if you ask me. But all in all, we kept the game as close as we possibly could. And that's the kind of ugly game that I was looking for the Giants if we were going to hang in this one, man. You know what I'm saying? And, I think Sean G brings up a good point, man. Darnay Holmes is a great tackler. You give him that. In coverage, it's an issue for him. And I think that's why they've been trying to use him as a nickel. Every coaching staff that has dealt with Darnay Holmes, they, even when we were strapped for talent, they wouldn't throw him out there on an island at the cornerback position at corner 2. For the most part, this guy's in the slot. And I think there's a reason for that, because he can tackle. And, you got to give him matchups against, like, not number 1, not number 2 wide receivers. And I think that's where he can excel. Let me see. Bubs was talking about the creative runs from Brightwell. Yeah, I like that too, because they were keying in on Saquon Barkley, and they would keep Saquon on the field, bring in Brightwell, bring in Matt Breida, and they found some success in that late in the game. It's unfortunate that they didn't get to that earlier in the game. And I got to send a shout out to let me remember who that was. It was oh man, why am I having a brain fart here? He was on with Mac the Giants fan as a guest. I always want to say it's Max Webster. Oh, Jeffrey. It's Jeff. He was on there talking about this, that the Giants should use Matt Breida a little bit more. And I disagreed with him in the chat. I was like, man, I strongly disagree with that. But I think he had a point. I think he saw something that I couldn't see. And now in hindsight, I do think you could have used Matt Breida with Barkley on the field. That seemed to be the way that was working out. So that's a good point you bring up there, Bubs. And I definitely want to send a shout out to Jeffrey one time because he was talking about that. And he had to, the foresight to see that, to be like, yeah, we should have used Matt Breida a little bit more with Saquon on the field. But yeah, man, strap for secondary was definitely tough. And I want to go over some of the New York Giants stats here too, and talk about some of the reoccurring themes that I've been seeing here. Let me make sure I got everything loaded up here on here. Okay, so Daniel Jones on the day, this stat box, the completion percentage doesn't look extremely terrible, but it wasn't a great day from Daniel Jones. He missed a couple of throws there for sure in some key moments, the 4th and 1 being the key one. I dropped a shorts on the channel. I don't know if y'all saw it, where I talked about that throw to Saquon Barkley on 4th and 1, inside and low. That's honestly, that's the perfect place where you don't want the ball. If you're going to throw that ball low, you want it low and outside. You don't want it low into the inside, because now the receiver or the pass catcher has to look back to the inside and twist his shoulders all the way around. All momentum for Saquon Barkley was going to the sideline. And apologies, y'all, if I get a little hoarse on this show because I'm under the weather, like big time for those of y'all just coming in. But 228 yards is Daniel Jones' second most yards, passing yards of the season. Back-to-back weeks, he's had his most passing yards. 21 to 35, one touchdown in garbage time. I know the Beard don't like hearing that garbage time, but it was garbage time, most definitely. It was in the last minute of the game, I believe. The 61.7 QBR, I think it speaks to him. You know, he played pretty well for the most part, but the inaccuracies on key moments is where I think why a lot of people are killing Daniel Jones when they woke up on Friday morning or even Thursday night, you know, because people wasted no time to get to it. He was sacked 3 times on the day. I saw a stat that said that DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons combined had 11 pressures on the day. I don't know how many pressures the Dallas Cowboys had as a unit, but 11 from 2 of your players. I talked about that in Instant Reaction. I said, you know, you had 19 pressures going up against the Detroit Lions, and I knew just off looking at the way the game went with my eyes, there was a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones. But only being sacked 3 times is showing you that Daniel Jones, the pocket awareness, the pocket presence, it's got better. I don't know why people are still saying it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten better, 1,000%. But these kind of games are the ones that we're too accustomed to seeing from Daniel Jones where we have a loss. And that's what I don't like. I don't think that this is a stat line that necessarily breeds a losing game. But for the New York Giants, with the talent that we have on the roster right now, when you see this kind of stat line from Daniel Jones, it's going to be an L, 1,000%. And we can't go without talking about Saquon Barkley. 11 carries just ain't enough, especially in a game where you're up 13-7 at the half. I don't get it. You know, 3.5 yards a carry is not great, but we know the kind of style that Saquon Barkley, you know, the kind of runner that Saquon Barkley is. He keeps hitting that line, and then eventually he's going to break one. And that's when you see the yards per carry go crazy. You know, you look at the Titans game, Saquon Barkley's yards per carry was 9.1 because he was breaking those big runs and he was getting those gritty yards at the line of scrimmage. But this kind of game, you know, we talked about it, stop Saquon, stop the New York Giants. This is really stopping Saquon. I always talk with the Beard about, you know, Saquon can have those games with 70 yards, maybe 80 yards, right? Churning them yards, you know, just trying to get the 3 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry and whatnot. But when you get 39 yards, there's no way the Giants are going to win like that. It's just no way the Giants can win like that. And now this is back-to-back really horrible games for Saquon Barkley. And I'm going to talk about the pattern just a little bit that we talked about with Saquon Barkley a couple of shows back where I brought this up to the Beard. And, you know, I talked about how he always has a big game and then 2 low games. A big game and then 2 low games. A big game, then we had to buy a low game, a big game, and now you got the 2 low games back-to-back. And I'm going to pull this up on the screen for y'all just so you can see Saquon Barkley's numbers throughout the season. I quickly had the graphics department draft this up. Shout out to the graphics department one time. And just take a look at these numbers right here. This is Saquon Barkley on the year. You come out, just like I said, 164 yards against the Titans. Then he had his lowest of the season. Granted, it was only 2 games. 72 yards versus the Panthers. 81 yards versus the Cowboys. And then he came back against the Bears. They gave him the volume that he needed. 31 carries, 146 yards, and 4.7 yards per carry, right? Then you go against the Packers. He did get banged up in that game, and this is where the shoulder injury that a lot of people are speculating happened. Okay, 13 carries, 70 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, though. That's still really good. I think that the Giants got away from the run on that one drive because Saquon Barkley got a little bit banged up there. So Daniel Jones had, to me, which was one of his best drives of the year, to drive us down the field and answer the Packers, and we end up coming back in that game and winning that one, right? Ravens game, bit of a down game, 83 yards. But still, those are the games, though, that I think you can still win on the shoulders of Saquon Barkley. 70 yards versus the Packers, 83 yards versus the Ravens, right? Jaguars comes back, bang, 100-yard game again. So look at the pattern. 100 plus, under 100, under 100. 100 plus, under 100, under 100. 100 plus, under 100, under 100. Now, we had the bye week there, right? In between, right before the Texans game. And now you're coming out, and this is where it looks like Saquon Barkley might be running out of gas here a little bit. And this injury might be taking its toll just a little bit here. 15 carries for 22 yards against the Lions, and the Lions they were ranked as one of the worst defenses in the entire league. And then now against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, 11 rushes for 39 yards. Look at the touchdown patterns too. 1 touchdown, 0 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 0 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 0 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 0 touchdown, 1 touchdown. They are finding ways to get Saquon Barkley the ball near the goal line. I noticed that, and I got to commend the coaching staff for that because, sometimes you can see a coaching staff when the running game's not clicking, they get away from their main workhorse right when they get down to the goal line. And that's what the Atlanta Falcons did in their game against the Washington Commanders and ended up being a loss that really had me losing my mind, y'all. I mean, really had me losing my mind. But you see the pattern with Saquon Barkley, and that's not a good thing. And the last statistic I want to bring some attention to here. Oh, actually, right before I get to Saquon, I wanted to send a big shout out to somebody who put this graphic on notice for me as well, too, at Doug Analytics. Just look at the fall off. Like, look, first game of the season for Saquon Barkley against the Titans, which, it is a bit of an anomaly because he had some big runs in that game. It was only 18 carries. But just look, this is a chart that shows you by week on the bottom, and then the yards per carry from bottom to top. Yards per carry is going down, constantly going down throughout the entire year, all the way until you get here to the Detroit Lions game where he had 1.5 yards per carry. And then, against the Dallas Cowboys where 3.5 yards per carry. All those games, look, think about our losses. Seattle, right? The one against the Detroit Lions and the 2 against the Cowboys. And the weird part about the Cowboys won the first matchup in week 3 is that they got away from the run a little bit, and I think that's just because of the scoreboard. You try to just like find a way to get a rhythm for Daniel Jones because you know that that's the only way that you're going to be able to win that game. But the pattern for Saquon Barkley is starting to show up here, man. And I think I don't know. I won't question the workload. I think Saquon Barkley is durable enough to have the workload. But I just think that the injury might be that they're not going to say he has an injury. This is a contract year. Saquon Barkley is not going to go to the coaching staff and be like, my shoulder's killing me. I can't play this week. It's no way. Brian Daboll is not going to give the media any kind of bait to talk about an injury for Saquon Barkley. There's 2 things that it'll devalue. It'll devalue Saquon Barkley's contract moving forward if he signs with the Giants. And secondly, it'll devalue it if another team tries to go after Saquon Barkley in free agency. So for me, man, it's like I think they're just keeping this under wraps. You can see the black tape sticking out of Saquon Barkley's shoulder in the games. And you see him, grimacing a little bit, grabbing the shoulder at times. And, I saw somebody on Twitter that said a shoulder injury shouldn't, have an impact on your explosivity. And I totally disagree. Like, any injury will have impact on explosivity because you're worried about it. When you go to make the point of contact, you're thinking that shoulder. You're trying to protect it a little bit. And I'm not trying to give Saquon Barkley no excuses here, straight up and down. Saquon Barkley has been literally the backbone of this team all year long. And I'll say the backbone of this offense, more importantly. We're winning games because of what Saquon Barkley has been doing on the offensive side of the ball. And Daniel Jones, in return, the teams that are playing up against us, the formula came out against the Seattle Seahawks. That whole read option thing is not working, and the Giants have been abandoning it early on in games here. I don't know how they're going to fix this because the Giants just don't have a lot of talent. That's the biggest problem. There's just not a lot of talent in the wide receiver department. And the last guy I wanted to bring a little bit of attention to is Darius Slayton, who Darius Slayton's been playing some really good football as of late. But Darius Slayton is not a clear-cut number 1 wide receiver. Forget a clear-cut. I don't even think Darius Slayton is a number 1, but he can definitely service as a number 2 on this team if we had that real threat. And I think that's why a lot of people are asking for the Odell Beckham stuff. But 3 receptions on 63 yards on those 3 receptions. He was out there on the field for 84% of the snaps. He had 6 targets, and he had that real long 44-yard reception where he jumped up and really just made a play for Daniel Jones in kind of double coverage. Safety coming over the top there. I believe that's Brown, who plays safety for the Cowboys over there, who got jumped over by Slayton. And Slayton made a hell of a play, man. And that play really is the difference to me in the first half of why the New York Giants end up going into the first half with the lead. So big props to Darius Slayton, man. He's doing all he can. Saquon Barkley is doing all he can. And Richie James, I thought, shined pretty decently in this game too. A lot of fans lost faith in him because he fumbled the two punt returns against the Seattle Seahawks, and people wanted to blame that game against him, or they wanted to blame that game on him. And, I definitely think that was a major factor of why we lost the game for sure, but it wasn't the only factor. Saquon Barkley never really got it going, and Daniel Jones just, with this wide receiver group, which I'm going to keep saying, but don't use it as an excuse, it ain't working. And then there's no chemistry between Daniel Jones really and any other wide receiver in his whole entire tenure since he's been here outside of Darius Slayton. I saw something with that talked about Kenny Galladay in this game too, because y'all know I talked about Kenny Galladay before this in the preview last week on Thursday, and I said this is a big spot for him. This is a spot where Kenny Galladay could completely show up. There's no wide receivers on the roster. We're banged up. Everyone's out. You just lost Wan'Dale Robinson to a knee injury. They targeted him 2 times against the Lions. He had 2 receptions. So you're thinking, okay, maybe he'll ramp it up. He had 0 targets in this game. He was only out on the field. Don't quote me on this. It was either 14. I want to say it was 14 snaps. They had Kenny Golladay out there on the field. It might have been 19. But 14 snaps, that's come on, man. What is going on with it? Like, is it that Kenny Golladay just doesn't fit within the Brian Dable, Mike Kafka scheme? Like, I just don't get it. And I think Kenny Golladay is a player that he has the capability to be able to do this. And shout out to SHU Carter. He says it was 19 snaps. Yeah, and I thought it was 14 or 19. To me, that's just not enough. Like, what is it? Why is he in the doghouse? Why is he getting no targets? I saw plays where he was on the field. Like, I went the whole first half without even thinking about him. And I was like, second half, I'm like, where the hell is Kenny Golladay? So I started keeping my eyes out there, and I saw him out there. He got a one-on-one. Daniel Jones, they have Kenny Golladay on Daniel Jones' blind side, right? He's playing on the left side. I'm looking at it like Daniel Jones didn't even look over, not one time on a one-on-one matchup with Kenny Golladay out there. And earlier in the year, I was one of the people saying that the injury to Colin Johnson was a big hit. But the way that we're treating those style of wide receivers, it really don't even seem like it's a big hit. It's like they wouldn't even have used them. Shout out to Havoc. He says, I watched Kenny off the line of scrimmage, and he looked like a Pinto car at the red light. But that's been Kenny Golladay his whole entire career. He's not the kind of guy that's going to get major separation. He's just not that kind of guy. Go look at Travis Kelce with the Kansas City Chiefs. He just makes catches in tight windows, man. Jason Witten, bro. Jason Witten probably ran like a 6-second 40. He found ways to make catches. A lot of it had to do with the precision from the quarterback, too, though. And you saw it in this game. Daniel Jones was up and down with the accuracy. And he's scared to throw it into tight windows. Let's just call it what it is, and let's call a spade a spade. Daniel Jones don't want to throw the ball in tight windows. Why? Because he's had tough turnover issues the first couple of years here with the New York Giants. He's thinking about his job, I'm sure, and the coaching staff is also thinking about their jobs. If you get a quarterback out here just slinging and throwing interceptions left and right, how's that going to look on Mike Kafka coming from Kansas City and Brian Dable coming from Buffalo? It's not going to look good. And Gregory says, Awthentik, how many times did Barkley get targeted in the pass game? Let me give you that right now. So Barkley had, and they were lining him up outside. I did see that in this game, so I do commend them. I don't know if they're listening to the fans, but a lot of fans were saying, why don't you just line Saquon Barkley up as a wide receiver? Saquon had 4 receptions for 13 yards on 6 targets. So, and that might be his most targets of the year. I'm just guessing, shooting shit here, but I don't remember seeing Saquon Barkley getting 6 targets. So he did get 6 targets in this game. And a lot of people want to call that a drop, on 4th and 1. I mean, I don't know what it went down as in on the stat line and whatnot. It's an awful throw, man. Let's just call a spade, man, and let's be real. It's an awful throw. People were even making a comparison showing that Dak Prescott had a similar throw late in that game, right up on a goal line, and he threw it right in the flats. Perfect. The flats throw, man, listen, man, you warm up with that throw. It's an easy throw, and that's why I decided to make the shorts video where I compared the 2-point conversion against the Bucs in 2020, where we ended up losing to the Bucs. I believe it was 25-23 on a 2-point conversion. Pretty much a last-ditch effort by the Giants, where Daniel Jones throws a strike. I mean, it's a strike to Golden Tate to get the touchdown to make that a game. And then, you go to the 2-point conversion and passes off target. The outside throws is where Daniel Jones kind of struggles outside the hash. Anytime somebody says Daniel Jones can make all the throws, that's the throw I talk about, is that throw outside the hash. I definitely think that's a throw Daniel Jones has to work on. But, with the wide receiver core, this reminds me of, and shout out to all the Ravens fans out there, man. That game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Ravens this past week, it showed you, when you ain't got no real weapons, I don't care if you Lamar Jackson, the only quarterback I think that could probably get it done without some real weapons is Patrick Mahomes. I'm just going to keep it 100 with y'all. Josh Allen has not shown that he can do it without weapons. He can play decent football. Don't get me wrong here. He can play some decent football. But Josh Allen, when you got Stephon Diggs there, somebody was trying to tell me, look at Josh Allen in, let me see, I think that was 2019 or 2020, right? It was Josh Allen's second year. And people were saying, look at him in his second year, man. he accounted for, I believe it was like 28 touchdowns or something, right? And 20 of them were through the air, I believe. And I might be a little bit off on this, right? But he almost had 10 rushing touchdowns that year, right? But the completion percentage was 58. He also had John Brown go over 1,000 yards that year. He had Colt Beasley and I forget who it was. It's a homie that we always have good conversations on Twitter. I think his name is like DA something. I can't remember his name. But he was just trying to make the comparison. He did say afterwards, I love a good debate. And I was trying to prove him wrong on this. I was like, bro, Colt Beasley and John Brown at that time and Dawson Knox was a rookie is better than what we got going on over here. And don't forget, Josh Allen is just a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. To this point, Josh Allen's a better quarterback. That's what it is. We know what we're working with Daniel Jones. We know what we're working with. You need weapons around him. Josh Allen is the quarterback that I think is right there. He's very close to being in that level of a Patrick Mahomes, but I still think Patrick Mahomes is just a different guy. He's just a different kind of quarterback. None of these other guys can do the stuff that Patrick Mahomes does. He can extend plays. He can even get you yards with his legs. And Josh Allen can do a lot of that. But I think when things go extremely wrong for Josh Allen, they go really wrong. With Patrick Mahomes, it's not going to go as wrong as it can. The floor for bad play is way higher for Patrick Mahomes for me. And the ceiling to me is just like, Patrick Mahomes, man, the amount of 300-yard games he has this year, I think seven 300-yard games or something like that. He's got a couple 40-yard games. That dude is out of this world. And a lot of people are talking about the draft this week, right? They want to talk about the draft. Oh, we need to go out there and get AR. We need to go out here and get, CJ Stroud. We need to go out here and get these guys. There's no banking that one of those quarterbacks is going to be a Patrick Mahomes. So if you swing and you miss, you're going to take a New York Giants team that is sitting here, at 7 wins at this point in the season, and you might be able to take the legs out from this team, and you go back to being a dismal squad that's winning 4 and 5 games, a year. That's not the vibes. That's not the vibes. And for me, you got to look at, hey, maybe you keep Daniel Jones on this roster and draft a quarterback. To me, right now, today, that seems to make the most sense. Because you got to be able to have a guy who's going to try to groom a quarterback at least for a year or half a year, whatever it may be. And then you try to bring this, if you bring in this young quarterback, let's say it's AR, and he's in training camp, lighting it up. He lights it up in preseason. First 5-6 games, Daniel Jones is struggling. And you think that kid's ready? We'll throw him in there. But I do think you got to find a way to have a team-friendly deal for Daniel Jones. Right now, for me, I'm not signing Daniel Jones to a long-term contract. And that's just me. And that's how I feel after this 4-game stretch that we've had. That's just how I feel about it. But a lot of people are like, yeah, go get the quarterback, go get the quarterback. And I'm having a lot of debates on Twitter that are about, our quarterback right now. And I'm telling people, I'm like, look, man, there's nothing that you can do in this season right now to change the quarterback unless you want to call for Tyrod Taylor. I'm one that said that Tyrod Taylor was a better option in the offseason, right? I said that. The way that I saw Daniel Jones come out and play in the beginning of the season, I don't stand on that opinion. I always tell y'all, when the facts are presented, I'm liable to change my opinion at any time. Because with more facts, you'd be a fool to watch more facts come out there and try to just die on some hill that really is just ludicrous at this point. Now, am I saying that Tyrod Taylor will come in here and completely stink it up? Probably not. I think Tyrod Taylor could come in here and do some of the things that Daniel Jones does. The one thing I like about Tyrod Taylor is he ain't scared. He came in that game, yeah, he threw an interception, and then he tried to run it on the 3rd down, try to, use his legs to get out there, and he dove, and he got his head cracked, and he got knocked out of the game. Some Giants fans will look at that and try to make fun of that and try to clown that. To me, I'm looking at that like, hey, this is a guy who's putting it all on the line. But at this point in the season, I'm not calling for no Tyrod Taylor. And I see some of y'all are making videos and saying, let's go Tyrod Taylor, let's go. I'm not, nah, man, this is the biggest stretch to test what Daniel Jones can actually do. This is an important stretch for a young quarterback. Yeah, he's in his 4th year, I know. But Daniel Jones, the first 3 years, man, they really did this kid they really did not help him. They were not helping him out. So I'm like this with Daniel Jones right now. I think he deserves a shot. He played well enough in the beginning of the season to deserve a shot. To me, that's what it is. Now, 13-7.5, things looking good, right? But we didn't capitalize off those 2 interceptions from Dak Prescott. And I think that was the biggest turning point in this game, one of them, because you only get 3 points off the turnovers. The Giants never sustained drives in this game. And then coming out the half, check this out. This is where the game, when I looked at this, I was like, oh, you got no chance. There's no chance that the Giants are going to win a game after this happened. Giants, second half. Cowboys got the ball at the half. They scored touchdowns on back-to-back drives, okay? They go up 28-13 after they scored their second touchdown. the Giants' second half drives, and to me, this is like, yo, this kind of goes on the coaching staff a little bit too. But I will say that the play designed on 4th and 1, where Daniel Jones doesn't make the throw, it's a great play design. Saquon Barkley's open. You got to make that throw. But the Giants' second half drives, turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs to start the second half, ain't no way in hell you're going to win a game like that. First half drives go punt, field goal, punt, touchdown, punt, field goal. It's pretty good. Second half drives go punt. Second half drives go turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs, and a garbage time touchdown. Onside kick, game's over. Dallas Cowboys controlled the clock, too. We can't forget about that. They definitely controlled the clock. And CeeDee Lamb was a big factor as well. CeeDee Lamb going over the 100 yards for the second time on the year. It's only the second time that a pass catcher has gone over 100 yards against the Giants all season long. So these injuries, they're starting to catch up. The other 100-yard receiver or tight end, it was Mark Andrews against the Ravens. And Mark Andrews was definitely giving us fits. And Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard on the ground, we don't got to talk about that too much, man. They did their thing. 5.8 yards per carry for Zeke Elliott. Tony Pollard had 18 rushes for 60 yards. And the Cowboys tight ends killed us, man. Dalton Schultz, 4 receptions, 31 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jake Ferguson had 3 receptions for 57 yards. They were killing us. And then Peyton Hendershot, who I'm like, who the hell's a Peyton Hendershot? He had the jet sweep touchdown. That goes to show you we were not sealing the edge all day long, and our cornerbacks on the outside were struggling all day long. Zeke Elliott was able to bounce runs to the outside. That's not like this Giants defense, man. They got to find a way to be able to stop the run, and we've been struggling the last 4 to 5 weeks, struggling really all year long. Giants only had 2 interceptions all year, and they get 2 interceptions in this game, and you can't find a way to finish this out. It's very, very, very unfortunate. 2 straight games without getting a sack. Kayvon Thibodeau, I know everybody was talking about him all week. He definitely had a good game. He was definitely getting some pressure on Dak Prescott. We got to talk about the 2 times he let Dak Prescott slip away, which you can't let those things happen. But I think Kayvon Thibodeau is, he's a young player. He's starting to gain the experience now. And Micah Parsons, man, I think Micah Parsons won the battle, but Kayvon Thibodeau made a name for himself in this game. We talked about that matchup on Thursday. Kayvon Thibodeau definitely made a name in a big spot on primetime. This was the most watched game in NFL regular season history. And Kayvon Thibodeau was in a big spot here, and I think he made a name for himself. So, a lot went wrong in this game. Giants definitely struggling, man, and, we're trying to get healthy, but you got to just go back to the drawing board here and get ready for Washington. That's just what it is. Put this game in the past and just get ready for Washington. Washington's going to be able to prepare for the New York Giants in 3 weeks. They're playing us twice with their bye in between. I think they have the advantage with that. It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. We'll see. I'm going to take a quick little commercial break real quick one time, man. I just need to get a little bit more water, man. Getting a little bit hoarse here one time. I'm going to take a little quick commercial break one time. And when we come back, we'll go over, the 6 giant overreactions I got. I'm going to try to get y'all out of here in about 2 hours, maybe something like that. We'll see what it is. And I'm going to take y'all back to a video I made last season where we were talking about Daniel Jones during the break.
With the 6th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Daniel Jones, quarterback.
Okay. So they do love a quarterback. Jabril Cox made the tackle. And Jones slow getting up. On 4th and 5, Jones steps up, takes off, he's in, touchdown!
Gettleman is proving to be a terrible GM, and this was an idiotic move.
No more Odell.
That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
They're down at 5. Jones throws, wide open.
Easy touchdown, second rushing touchdown for Daniel Jones, and they are in position.
All right, y'all. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all still believe in Daniel Jones? I definitely believe in Daniel Jones for the rest of the season. And, I can feel this flu. It's definitely kicking my ass right now, man. But we definitely going to get through this one time. Y'all know what it is, man. Andrew Thomas vibes over here on the Giant Overreaction. Week 12 edition one time, man. And I wanted to start this segment off with a couple of clips, man. And this one is from somebody that I know a lot of people, not even just Giants fans. I know a lot of people don't get down with Stephen A. Smith. But I thought he said a couple of good points, at least, when he was on the Get Up. And I believe this was the Friday morning after the game. And I just thought he made a couple of good points, man. And I think, a lot of people like to rag on the national media people, and they're like, oh, these guys are garbage. But I do think they do a good job of putting together a good show. It's just another opinion at the end of the day. So I won't fault them for none of the mistakes that they make. But this one came from Mr. Stephen A. Smith himself. And this one was on the Get Up on Friday morning. Check this one out, y'all.
The level of competition you're going against matters. And the 7-3 record that the New York Giants have, or had at the time, listen, the bottom line is they're not that good right now. Daniel Jones, did you see some of the throws that he was making? When he's got his feet set and he's standing in the pocket with no pressure, sure, he can look good. But when you force him out of the pocket and he has to be on the move and make any throws with any degree of accuracy, he's not going to do it. He showed it last night. As far as I'm concerned, when I looked at him yesterday, I said this is not the quarterback of the future. Brian Daboll has to get somebody else to be the quarterback of the New York Giants. Not this season, but looking forward, moving forward in the future. He's just not that guy. Not unless you have a couple of elite receivers and a big-time offensive line. If you don't have those two, Daniel Jones is not the guy, because he's not the guy that can make things happen for you. He's basically a guy that can capitalize off of ideal situations. But anything that's not ideal, he's not your guy.
Now, like I said, I know a lot of people like to rag on Stephen A., but I thought that was a very fair assessment of Daniel Jones. I really do. A couple of key points he said there. He talked about the level of competition. And we're going to get into talking about that too. But we know the Giants are playing, this season with a last place schedule, whatnot. The matchups have not been the most hardest matchups. When you look back at last season, the season before that, I used to look at that schedule and be dreading some of them games coming up like, oh my God, we're going to have to play this team. This year, it was really the Packers and the Ravens that really scared me when I looked at the schedule. Another thing he said there was when he has an ideal situation. Now, I think that what fans can't forget, right, is that Brian Daboll is not just trying to build a quarterback. I think a lot of people just look at a team and they go, just build the quarterback and everything will come. And I'm on record actually speaking like that myself, where I'm like, man, last season I was looking at it like, man, if you bring in Russell Wilson here, everything might elevate. And you see that with the Denver Broncos this year, that they brought in Russell Wilson, and it's looking extremely ugly over there. And a quarterback is not going to fix the problems that they have on offense over there. I even look at Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy like, man, maybe they need to upgrade that wide receiver core a little bit, and the blow of losing Noah Fant really looks like it hurt that offense, man. They're not moving well. I even told the Beard this. I said, man, I'm kind of reconsidering some of the quarterbacks they had over there, like Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, these guys. Like, how bad were they? Because they looked a lot better in that system than Russell Wilson does. So I think that is a good point, though, when Stephen A's talking about bringing up the ideal situation. That's the coach's job. Is your goal here to build a quarterback, or are you going to try to build the ideal situation where the quarterback can thrive? I think you can have success going both ways with that. Like, you can get yourself the unicorn quarterback that's going to make every weapon on this offense that much better, or you just go out there and you get the weapons that are going to make this quarterback be able to excel. Because we know, even if you're a Daniel Jones complete stand homer all the way, right? We do know this one thing. He needs help around him. That's 1,000% right there. I don't care what nobody says. Daniel Jones is not the quarterback that's going to uplift a roster of a bunch of no-name guys like what we're seeing with the New York Giants. He needs the help up there. Another thing I thought he brought up that was a good point was about elite wide receivers and a big line. What if Daniel Jones supporters have been saying the whole entire year? What if content creators like myself been saying the whole entire tenure of Daniel Jones? I was begging for a number one wide receiver for like 2 years. If you paid attention to what we do over here at Awthentik and the Beard, right? Like, the one thing that I used to always talk about this, Darius Slayton being the only weapon that the New York Giants have drafted for Daniel Jones in those first, I want to say it was the first 3 years, right? Right before we brought in Kenny Galladay and drafted Kadarius Toney. How is it that Dave Gettleman is only going to spend a 5th-round pick to try to help out a young quarterback? And you wonder why in the first couple of years he was extremely struggling. But Daniel Jones came out the gate. I don't know if y'all remember the preseason. He had an 80% completion percentage in the preseason. Then he comes out against his first debut game against the Bucs. He gets the win. I know it was on a missed field goal and whatnot, but he played well in that game, right? We're looking at like, whoa, Daniel Jones got some talent. And I looked at it, I remember this because the Beard, Washington Commanders fan, they had drafted Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins, and we would make a lot of comparisons about the two young quarterbacks from the same draft, right? And I was feeling like we got the one up on them. I think we got the better quarterback. I even went back and looked at my notes because I always, during the scouting time of the year, I always write notes on the players that that you'll hear about the New York Giants are getting ready to draft. And when I heard that Daniel Jones was a guy they were possibly thinking of, he was not on my radar. And I'm not some college football guru or nothing like that, right? He wasn't on my radar, but I was like, let me go look at all the tape. So I looked at all the tape from Dwayne Haskins, looked at all the tape from Daniel Jones, because at that time, it felt like those two guys were going to be one of the quarterbacks that was going to be here in New York. And, a lot of the things that I wrote down, some of those notes was, okay, his wide receivers, he ain't got no help. I remember on the notes I was saying, like, another drop. He's getting killed. Offensive line. The one thing that I wrote down in those notes was that outside the hash marks, he doesn't have the velocity that it takes to be able to throw the ball in the NFL. That was the one thing I wrote down that was really like a negative mark. And a lot of the points that I was writing down in those notes was his game against Clemson, I believe it was, because I wanted to see how he looked up against a real deal team. And Duke, I wrote down that their wide receivers were all these little slot guys, and it seemed like Daniel Jones needed a bigger wide receiver. They go out there and they get Kenny Galladay, and it just never clicked. From the first time we saw it, I think it was week 3 or week 2, we played the Washington Commanders, Washington football team at the time. Me and the Beard were at that game. That's the game where Kenny Galladay blew up on the sidelines at Jason Garrett and at Daniel Jones, right? From the onset, it just no chemistry with this big wide receiver who you thought was going to be his security blanket. I thought that he was going to be able to throw the ball to Galladay, kind of like how Matthew Stafford did with Galladay, and just give him those chances. You see one-on-one, everybody was talking about get Daniel Jones his Plaxico ears. We tried to get him that, and it hasn't worked out. I just don't get it. But now we do have to talk about this. The elite wide receiver is so important for Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones needs to see it open first. I've noticed that with him. He can throw some. I'm not saying he can't throw wide receivers open, right? Because he can. But for the most part, Daniel Jones likes to see you get open, let it go. Time it and let it go. You got to go get this guy a wide receiver if you're going to build around him. So for the Giants fans who feel like, Daniel Jones is a lock going into next year, right? If you want to see this team excel, they have got to make a move on a real deal wide receiver. I saw somebody bring up a pretty decent point that, like, I don't want to agree with, but I think it's a good point. And I don't know, I can't remember if it was brought up in our chat or if it was brought up on Twitter, but they were like, wow, you should have traded Saquon Barkley for an elite wide receiver. Now, y'all know me. I'm a big Saquon Barkley fan. I don't want to see Saquon Barkley in no other uniform outside of blue, bro. Like, I really want to see Saquon Barkley finish his career as a New York Giant. I love Saquon Barkley, the player. But what other value do you have to try to get Daniel Jones a real deal number one? How can you get him a Terry McLaurin? Are you just going to bank on doing it in the draft? Because then you got to wait. Maybe there's time to build chemistry. Maybe you don't hit. Maybe you pull a Dave Gettleman. You draft a guy like Kadarius Toney, right? Dave Gettleman was talking about, locker room, culture, no cancers, blah, 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 right? He trades away our best weapon right before we start Daniel Jones in the 2019 season, right? And I'm still salty about that. I'm still extremely salty about that. And then you go out there and you talk about culture, and you got first-round picks like DeAndre Baker, Kadarius Toney. Let me tell y'all something about Kadarius Toney, and I'm riding with Kadarius Toney. I want to see Kadarius Toney excel. I want to see him mature into a bona fide football player, and more importantly, mature into an adult, right? A mature adult, right? But dog, let me keep it funky with you, with somebody who lives in DC, and this is a very popular thing here. When you see somebody showing up to the press conferences with that ski mask on, anybody that know about hip hop culture and what's going on just in the culture right now with them ski masks, let's say you live in Philadelphia and you seeing what's going on with the shootings, or you live in Washington, D.C., and you see what's going on with the shootings, and you see how Brian Robinson, a rookie coming out here driving down 8th Street, which is just blocks down the hill from my crib, right? I could literally walk down there in a couple minutes, take me 15 minutes, 20 minutes to walk down to 8th Street. When you see these players dealing with these kind of situations, and you see a dude showing up with a ski mask to the interview, Bubs hit it right on the nail right here. Shiesty gang. That's what it is. It shows you that a player is not mature yet, and he's not developing into an adult. Daniel Jones, the one thing I liked about what I saw from Daniel Jones out of this whole Dallas Cowboys week, showed up to the press conference in a blazer, top button unbuttoned, looking like an adult. And I know that some people going to say this is petty, right? They're going to be like, oh, but you got players like this, AI changed these rules, blah, whatever, right? You got to look for red flags, man. And Dave Gettleman, when you go out there and you draft guys like DeAndre Baker, who had red flags all over him, and then ended up, during the COVID season, ended up going and allegedly robbing a Madden party, a Madden game at a barbecue. You just missed on 2 players after trading away a guy you said was the culture problem. But let me tell you what it was. Go back and look at the Josina Anderson interview. I promise you're going to look at it way different than you looked at it back then. Josina Anderson kept asking Odell, so what is it? So what is it? She baited him into saying what he said about Eli Manning. And at the end of the day, stop being soft, man. What he said about Eli Manning was nothing. It was, I'm going to say it right here on record. It was nothing. Because Josina Anderson kept asking him why Odell complained about not getting the ball down the field, right? And she kept asking him, well, what is it? What is it? He kept saying, I don't know. He said, I don't know, maybe 4 times. Go back and look at the interview. It's only 40 minutes. Spend 40 minutes of your day if you don't agree with this take and go look at that interview. He said, I don't know. She said, well, is it the quarterback? And he said, I don't know if it's quarterback, but we know that Eli Manning can't run around like that. At this point in his career, he's not going to be running around doing things with his legs. Stan hit it right there. It was nothing. Giants fans took that and they twisted it and went, oh, man, you can't be throwing your quarterback under the bus. Did y'all see what Kyler Murray said in the post-game conference just this past game? He literally said we got out-coached. He pretty much just said, like, look, we had no chance out there, and he even dropped the F-bomb while saying it. He said we got out-coached. I promise you, the reason why Dave Gettleman traded away OBJ is because OBJ, go back and look at that interview like I'm telling you. I'll put a link. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna comment on this video for the people that see this later, and I'll link the interview for you. Odell kept talking about the culture, and what he was not trying to say was the reason why the culture here in New York is all screwed up is because of Dave Gettleman. I guarantee you're going to feel that way if you go back and you look at that press conference again. And in return, now you're looking at a guy in Daniel Jones who could have been out there balling out with Odell Beckham. You went and spent the same exact kind of money on Kenny Galladay that you reserved a contract for Odell Beckham. It's nonsensical. And the fact that some of these Giants fans who were so against Odell Beckham, because, yeah, he was another young man who was a little bit hot-headed, right? Had a couple of red flags. But this is my thing about red flags. If you got red flags and you produce on the field, then there's got to be somebody in the New York Giants front office that is on damage control. If y'all need to hire me, bro, I could go in here and be a mentor to these dudes, bro, and tell them, like, yo, everything is at stake for you right now. You cannot afford to fail because Odell Beckham's career goes off track after that. It goes off track. And okay, I'll respond to a couple of these right now. I see not this one. The Moore family says he insinuated he didn't want to be in NY, though. Why you think he didn't want to be in NY? I'm giving you the facts right now. Y'all, listen, if you didn't see the Dave Gettleman videos that I posted on my Twitter that literally went bonkers, that thing got like 1 million views. And shout out to the homie who created that video. I can't remember his name right now. It's some wild name with a pun, like the urinating tree or something like that. But go check that video on my Twitter. Just search Dave Gettleman. I said this is the most hilarious Dave Gettleman video that I've ever seen. Go check that video out. Go look at all the mistakes that dude made. Why would you want to be in a losing culture? Of course, this is a young man. And I'm not saying Odell is like, literally has like no faults and like he made no mistakes. He even admitted he made mistakes during his tenure here in New York. Of course he made mistakes. But my thing is the front office, Dave Gettleman and the coaching staff, y'all are the adults, man. If my son is messing up in school, let's just say my hypothetical son is messing up in school, why do you think they call the parents in? Because they're not going to go to the kid and keep talking to the kid like, you got to get your stuff together, man. You got to get your stuff together. Listen, I'm telling y'all, this is why he got traded. 1, because he was a hothead, and 2, because he was insinuating that the culture was jacked up in New York, which it was. It was. Nobody can sit here and admit that it wasn't. It was awful. The culture was awful in New York. And a lot of it was Dave Gettleman. He's just showing up to practice, parading around in his big khaki shorts, doing nothing. And then people want to hang their hat on a couple of first-round picks that he hit on. Come on, yo. Anybody in the chat could have hit on some of these first-round picks. Let's keep it funky. Anybody in the chat could have hit on these first-round picks. What about the later rounds? One of our subscribers to this channel, I can't remember who it is, man, but shout out to you. He came into one of our segments and he talked about Dave Gettleman. He said, I'm going to leave a comment that shows you every Dave Gettleman pick, and I'm going to break down every pick. And he broke it down. Dave Gettleman was like 8 for 36. 8 for 36 as far as hitting on draft picks. And when you talk about missing on a guy like DeAndre Baker, that's the biggest whiff of all of them. And then now Kadarius Toney, you traded out of a position where Michael Parsons was right there for you. Micah Parsons is sitting right there. Shout out to Miz. Miz had been talking about Micah Parsons the whole damn summer. Like, yo, if this guy's there, they got to get him. They got to get him. He's the guy. I go look at Micah Parsons' tape. I'm like, oh, my God. This is the guy, right? And then when the Dallas Cowboys draft him, right, what are Giants fans doing? Don't you dare mention Micah Parsons in the same breath as Lawrence Taylor. We going to keep doing that? Are we literally going to keep doing that? Lawrence Taylor changed the game. Michael Jordan changed the game. But are we not going to mention LeBron James in the same breath because Jordan changed the game and LeBron really didn't change the game as much? It don't matter. They're both effective players. Micah Parsons is out here looking crazy. He's got 6 games with multiple sacks on the year. He gets multiple sacks in games more than he doesn't. We completely missed. And Odell was right. He was just letting y'all know. You know, a lot of people like to say that I'm in the music biz, right? So it's like when Michael Jackson was trying to out Columbia Records, right? He was pretty much saying like, yo, these people is the devil. And people was looking at him like, oh man, Michael's losing his mind. You think he was really losing his mind? He was about to get 51% of Columbia. Come on. Prince was giving him hints too. Prince changed his name because the record label was trying to hold him into a contract, right? He literally changed his name and then tried to give y'all hints about what was happening to the music industry. People wasn't listening. Odell Beckham was just trying to give you hints without getting fired, and he ended up literally losing his job anyway. And in return, now we got a quarterback who's in a position where he has no weapons. He's got no weapons. You tried to supplement him with guys like Golden Tate. So you literally spent $100 million trying to replace Odell Beckham when you had him. He's right there. He's sitting right there for you. One of the best wide receivers in the league. And you let him go. And that's why the Giants fans who really know ball, I see a lot of y'all youngins running around saying, oh, he knows ball when you say like Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback. Y'all losing y'all mind, bro. Daniel Jones is a quarterback that needs help. 100%. He needs help. And we literally gave away our best wide receiver. And that's why these Giants fans now, who really understood what was going on and understood the temperature at the time, that's why they want Odell back. But the problem is, and I tweeted this out a little while ago, I was like, the one reason why I don't want Odell back is because I know what's going to happen. The passing game don't work. All these Giants fans are going to blame Odell Beckham. Some people disagreed with it. Whatever. I'm here to just give you my opinion on it. I know what's going to happen. Oh, we should have never signed him. He's a hothead, locker room cancer, blah, blah, blah. All that BS that we know ain't true. Are you producing on the field? That's the most important thing. Are you producing on the field? That is what's most important. And I'm going to go back to a clip that I highlighted just right before the Lions game where Paul Schwartz was talking about the 35-plus throws. This is super important because Paul Schwartz was smart enough to know that if you had to throw it 30, 35 times, Giants ain't going to win no games.
Here's a question I posed to Brian Dable on Monday. If you can't run the ball, if there comes a time in the second half of the season where you have to throw it 35, 40 times to win the game, can you? Brian Dable said, I don't know. He said, we practice for it. We practice every day for it, but I don't know. You know, he didn't say we can do it. I'm confident in everything. He doesn't know. Look, Brian Dable came to the Giants from Buffalo with a reputation of wanting to throw the ball. You know, he's had some incredible games at calling the plays for Buffalo where they threw it almost all the time. And so he comes to the Giants. He sees what they have. Saquon Barkley's healthy. I think he looks at this offensive line as they're better run blockers than pass blockers. So this is a running team. Now, throwing the ball 17 times and winning is incredible. In the fourth quarter of this game against the Texans, the Giants did not attempt a pass. They had 14 plays, and they didn't. Not one of them was a pass. That is amazing. Can they do it? I don't think they can do it. You know, and look, Seattle shut down Saquon Barkley, and the Giants struggled to score anything. So, you know, that's the next frontier for this team. Can they do it? I think Daniel Jones can do it. I don't think the receivers and the offensive line can do it. We'll see. You know, we'll see if the Giants can do it. It'll be very interesting.
He was letting us know right there. That's right after the Texans game leading up to the Detroit Lions game. He was letting us know right there. And I like what he said right there. He said, I think Daniel Jones can do it, but I don't think this wide receiver core can do it. And I think that's what it is. You're looking at Darius Slayton being your number one. And let's talk about some of the wide receiver numbers from this Cowboys game, and then I'll get into the overreactions because we do got a couple to go. Darius Slayton, 3 receptions. Richie James, 5 receptions for 41 yards. Outside of that, Isaiah Hodgins, 3 receptions for 31 yards. Chris Myarick had 1 reception. Lawrence Cager had 1 reception. Gary Brightwell, 2 receptions. Tanner Hudson, 1 reception. Matt Breida, 1 reception. Saquon Barkley, 4 receptions on 6 targets. Listen, man, every quarterback, if you're not Patrick Mahomes, you need weapons, man. Y'all saw Lamar Jackson on Sunday. Yo, I got to pull up Lamar Jackson's stat line. I wasn't going to do it, but I got to pull it up. And look at this Ravens box score to show y'all something here. Because it's absolutely ridiculous that the Ravens lost this game with the kind of game that Lamar Jackson had on Sunday. And that was against the Jaguars one time. Let me just show y'all this real quick. So, and if you want, you can look it up and Google it yourself, but I'm going to read it off to you. Lamar Jackson, okay, he was 50%, okay? He was 16 of 32 on the day, 254 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 254 passing yards. He had 14 carries for 89 yards. Look at these wide receiver numbers right here. Josh Oliver was the leading wide receiver. I don't even know who that is. I'm going to keep phone with you. 4 receptions. Deshaun Jackson had 2 receptions. He had the big play that got them the lead in that game, which you thought was going to end the game. He had 2 receptions for 74 yards. Mark Andrews had 4 receptions. So Mark Andrews is the weapon. And that goes to show you that when you have one top 3 weapon at the position too, if you shut him down, Lamar Jackson's not going to have a good chance in this game. And then the other wide receivers, let me go over some more. Demarcus Robinson, 1 reception. Devin Duvernay, 3 receptions. And I like Devin Duvernay, but he's young. You can't throw these guys into these spots. Patrick Ricard, 2 receptions for 14 yards. That's it. That is it. Literally, that is it. Lamar Jackson over 320 yards of offense in this game. Gus Edwards had 52 yards on the ground. Devin Duvernay had 2 carries for 16 yards. Listen, you need the weapons, man. I don't know how many times I got to keep telling people this. You need the weapons. And people are saying, oh, this is great. Lamar Jackson, he doesn't deserve the money, and we'll just sign him next year. What do you think is going to happen when you bring Lamar Jackson over here to the New York Giants and you don't give him no weapons? The Giants got to be finding out a way to plan right now what you going to do to make this team better next year. You got to, I know you got Washington this week, and you got to make this run. I hope this playoff run goes down. I'll keep it funky with you. I really am crossing my fingers that the New York Giants can make a playoff run here. But you got to figure this out. If you're going to keep Daniel Jones here quarterback, it's not like Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback. The polar opposite takes that you see on Daniel Jones are ridiculous. And I said this the other day on social media. I'm like, am I the only person who literally has like a rational opinion about this kid, Daniel Jones? Because, yeah, dude has bad games. Dude has good games. He's an average quarterback. And I always harp on this. You cannot find one tweet or one proof of anything on this channel of me saying that Daniel Jones is a trash quarterback or he's some garbage. And I've never said that about Jalen Hurts either. And you saw that from every Giants content creator across the whole damn community. Jalen Hurts sucks. Jalen Hurts is trash. But are y'all not using your eyes, man? All these dudes is good quarterbacks. They're all good. And when I say good, I mean average. At least, at bare minimum. Guys like Jalen Hurts, guys like Daniel Jones. If you want to go to like a Taylor Heineke, and shout out to the Beard who really proved that one to me. I was like, I really wanted to put Taylor Heineke, last year in that conversation of like, maybe he's average. He's limited, man, because he don't got the tools that these other guys got. He's got that winner. He's got that gamer vibe that a guy like Jalen Hurts has, because Taylor Heineke going to try to do everything he want to do. But he don't got the physical tools like a Jalen Hurts or like a Daniel Jones or like a Josh Allen or like a Justin Fields. People were saying that Justin Fields is garbage at week 4. I was like, you sure? Y'all know my Keenan gif I like to use on Twitter. Like, you sure? Come on. Oh, Gregory talking about Cooper Rush. See, Cooper Rush is a guy that you need, the sample size is not large enough, right? But Cooper Rush was looking like an average quarterback. He looked like he could make the throws. You know what I'm saying? He looked like he could do some things. And D. Biddle, you spot on. Taylor Heineke's like a Ryan Fitzpatrick. Limited. Very limited when it comes to the physical gifts. But they gamers. They're going to try to do everything in their willpower. They're more gamers than Daniel Jones is, because Daniel Jones be playing like he's a little bit timid. Like, I don't want to make the mistake. Ryan Fitzpatrick, like, man, if I walk away from this game with 4 interceptions, I don't care. Like, I'm an OG out here. I'm getting the bag. It's whatever, right? But to the people that was using their eyes looking at Philadelphia games, and Giants fans who don't look at other teams play across the, across the division, or other teams that play across the league, right? And you go and you just look at the one game that Jalen Hurts played against the New York Giants last year, and you go, Oh, man, he's a bum. He threw 3 interceptions against the Giants. Well, why did he throw 3 interceptions? Nick Sirianni came out. He looked at the Giants like, oh, man, that's a garbage team. I'm going to try to throw the ball against them. First half, he got away from the run completely. Had Jalen Hurts out here trying to drop back and throw the ball as a pocket passer, and that's not what Jalen Hurts does. Same thing with Justin Fields in Chicago. I forget the coach's name over there, but he's trying to drop back Justin Fields and trying to have him looking like Aaron Rodgers out here when we know Justin Fields in the combine ran like a 4.4, 4.3 40. Why are you going to have a young kid like that trying to pocket pass as a young quarterback? It's just not the way. You got to put him in the right positions. But use your eyes, man. Use your eyes. When you see Daniel Jones out there, he's not a bad quarterback. There's no way you can sit here and say that Daniel Jones is trash. I got people coming into my DMs like, oh, man, you were too nice on Daniel Jones in the video. Man, I'm calling it like it is. He played a mistake-free game as far as the big turnover. He made some mistakes as far as accuracy goes, but I don't look at those as mistakes. Those are just things that happens. Even on the 4th and 1 throw, you gotta think about this too. He had 10 men on the field. He caught the snap. He looked to his left and was like, oh, damn. And he went immediately to the out route to Saquon Barkley. He missed. He straight up missed. But you guys, stop looking at the stat box for you guys that are, pretty much shitting on these quarterbacks out here that we know got talent. We know they got talent. There's no reason to shit on these quarterbacks. And people, they were doing it to Lamar Jackson too. I see Stan talking about that as well. And I got people telling me today that Mac Jones is in a different class than Daniel Jones and Justin Fields. What the hell are you watching? Every quarterback needs weapon. If your name is not Patrick Mahomes, every quarterback needs weapons. It is what it is. I'm never going to come off that take no more. Because look around the league. Tell me the quarterback that's doing it without weapons. I had this dude, and he's in the Giants community. His name's DJ. He came to me and he started naming off quarterbacks that have done it without weapons. And I'm like, dog, you naming quarterbacks that are the bottom. He named Davis Mills. Like, they got 1 win. That's what you want to trade Daniel Jones for? Is Davis Mills? Come on, man. We got to be realistic here, man. And y'all know the saying over here at Awthentik and the Beard, bro. We not going to be extremely optimistic. We not going to be pessimistic. We're going to be realistic, man. That's just what it is. And Daniel Jones needs weapons more than most quarterbacks, to be honest. Like, he's the kind of guy that he needs to go back, drop back, sit on the spot, and that's why I agree with a lot with what Stephen A. Smith said about Daniel Jones. He made some great points there, man. And whether or not you think he's a franchise quarterback or not, that's up to you to decide. But I think Stephen A. left some room for interpretation there that was really good. He said that, you have to have the elite wide receivers around him, and you have to have the big line around him. Daniel Jones was playing great football when Evan Neal was in the lineup. When there was no injuries at the left guard position, he was playing great football. When Saquon Barkley's back there running well, he's playing good football. And he don't got the number 1 wide receiver or the number 1 weapons or the elite wide receivers. Just imagine if you get him that. If you get him that elite wide receiver, then I'm sure Daniel Jones will be able to excel in this league. We saw it with Alex Smith. Alex Smith is probably a good example of it, where struggling throughout the first couple of years, man, had a hard time in this league. Had a very hard time in this league. As soon as they built the team around him, things were right. Me as a fan, I don't look at this like the New York Giants need to build up the quarterback position. You got to build the team. If you think that removing this quarterback is that, then do it. But at the end of the day, the team around this quarterback is not good. And Stephen A. said that on the clip as well, too. He was like, the Giants aren't a good team. Look at this roster. When you look at this roster and you compare it to rosters across the league, especially right now, sitting at week 12 with the injuries that we're dealing with, you can't say this is a good team. Got some good pieces. You remove Xavier McKinney from this defense, wow, it really hurt this defense. You remove the 2 cornerbacks that start, Fabian Moreau, Adoree Jackson. What team can overcome this? Imagine if we go and we do that with Washington right now and you remove Cam Curl, Fuller, Derek Force from their lineup. They're going to look like a shell of themselves. It's just what it is. And offensively, we're dealing with the worst wide receiver core in the NFL. I don't care what nobody says. I'm on it now. It's the worst wide receiver core in the league, especially with the injuries. And if we had guys like Sterling Shepard out there, maybe, You had guys like Wan'Dale Robinson out there, maybe. Kadarius Toney gets traded. I still don't know what it is. Maybe in the offseason, we'll figure something out. But I think that it's very important to get these weapons around Daniel Jones if you look at him as a part of the future. And don't just go out here and just reach on the quarterback. I think it'd be a good idea to draft a guy because you want to give him some competition. But they're seeing Tyrod Taylor in practice, and if they haven't made that jump yet, I don't think they're going to make that jump yet. And if you're a Giants fan that's saying, you want to complain every day about the quarterback position, if you're not complaining about the quarterback position and saying we need to bring in Tyrod Taylor, I ain't trying to hear it. I'm going to keep it funky. I ain't trying to hear it because there's nothing that we can do. There's nothing that we can do this season. You're not going to sign some free agent, bring him in. You can't trade for a quarterback. The deadline's over. The only option is to go out there and bring Tyrod Taylor. So if you're not saying that, you're not saying much. You're just talking because you got lips at this point. That's really what it is. And it's starting to get very frustrating because every day on Sunday, I had more people talking with me in my comments about Daniel Jones than they were talking about the football games that were going on that were, a key point of what games we needed to lose, or, games that we needed teams to lose to be able to make our chances of making this playoff run. And we sitting here talking about Daniel Jones on a Sunday where he didn't even play. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I know when you're younger, I'll speak for myself. When I was younger and I played quarterback, I was all about the quarterback. If the team wasn't winning and the offense wasn't moving, hey, man, it's your fault, quarterback. You need to go out here and do something. At the end of the day, Giants got to find a way to be able to bring some weapons in here and try to find a way to win games with a passing game, because it's 2022, man. We can't be out here just trying to play this old school type of football all the time. You got to have multiple ways to win. And the Dallas Cowboys showed you it. They came out, they ran the rock early and often, and they won this game on the back of the running game. And then they showed you they could pass the ball in the second half, and it was no problem for them to win this game when Dak Prescott started lighting it up. Dak Prescott is playing he is playing some great football right now. Since Dak Prescott has been back, Dallas Cowboys averaged the most points per game in the entire NFL. You think that's just by coincidence? And I know a lot of people, they be shitting on Dak Prescott in the Giants community. Like, I wouldn't take Dak Prescott over Daniel. People were saying they wouldn't take Lamar Jackson over Daniel Jones right now. People were saying they wouldn't take Dak Prescott over Daniel Jones right now. And that's cool, but these guys are excelling for a reason. But also, one of the reasons is it's not just cut and dry. They got the weapons. They got CeeDee Lamb over there. They got Michael Gallup back. Good thing the Cowboys had faith in Michael Gallup. They went out there, they let Amari Cooper go. And it don't seem to be that big of an issue this year. They're doing a good job right now with Dak Prescott healthy in the lineup and Michael Gallup doing some things one time. But let's get into these Giant overreactions one time, man. And we got a bunch, so we going to talk a lot more. Keep the chat going. Keep the vibes going, man. I appreciate all of y'all pulling up, rocking with me on this Monday afternoon. Giant overreaction. Giants Nation is in the building, man. And y'all know what it is, man. It's no cut cards over here, bro. It's no cut cards over here. We're not making up excuses for nobody. We just calling it like it is one time. We literally just calling it like it is. All right, I saw a lot of OBJ talk, so we're going to get to the OBJ talk one time real quick. Now, for those of y'all that don't know how we do over here on the Giant Overreaction, if indeed you think the statement on the screen is an overreaction, put an O in the chat. If you agree with the statement on the screen, let me see a U in the chat, which means you're going to be taking the under. And if you kind of undecided, you need a little bit more time, you can put a P in the chat for push. That'll represent the push one time, meaning you need a little bit more time. But Giants fans, what y'all thinking about this one right here about Odell Beckham? There's a reason OBJ wanted to visit the Giants first. He wants to come home. I'll give y'all a little bit of time to populate your answers one time, man. And see how y'all feeling about this one, man. See if y'all think this one is an overreaction or not one time. And apologies, y'all, man. I'm gonna be taking a couple of breaks during this show, man. This little baby flu that's trying to creep up on me, man. It's kicking my ass right now for sure, man. Definitely going through it, but I'm gonna hold y'all down. Y'all know what it is. Let me see what everybody talking right here one time, man. So Bookend Tackles thinks it's an overreaction one time. Mike K in the building. He taking the under. I knew this one was gonna split the room a little bit, man. This one came from Twitter. D Biddle says it's an overreaction. Primetime says it's an overreaction too. Shout out to Primetime one time in the building. Sebastian is taking the under one time. He agrees with the statement on the screen. He thinks OBJ wants to come home. Gregory, overreaction. Jameson probably says it's an overreaction because he wants OBJ to come to Dallas. Shout out to Jameson one time in the building. Big win for his Cowboys this past week. Word and Havoc say both is an overreaction as well. My man Brian Porras in the building. I know he looking to get Daniel Jones some weapons 1,000%. He's taking the under on this one. Sabrina in the building. What's going on, Sabrina? Hope all is well. Hope the Thanksgiving treated you well. Hope you grubbed well and all that. Got to see your family and all that good business. Sabrina says this is an overreaction as well. Let me see. Jay Jean says, nice to see we are an optimistic bunch. Oscar on Raiders. Shout out to Oscar. Been holding us down for a while. Says taking the under. He wants to most, but only if we offer long-term money. That's a good point there too. Shout out to Kansan one time, Zero. I think Kansan's a new face in the building. Shout out to Kansan in the building, man. What up, fam? Hope all is well on this Monday. To be honest, I just think he didn't want to hurt Giants fans, Shepard and Barkley's feelings. That's a good point. I haven't heard that one yet. That's real, though. But Kansan is taking the overreaction one time. Mac, the Giants fan, taking the overreaction one time. This is definitely a new face in the building one time right here. Sergeant CAG Gerard in the building. One time, Gerard is in the building. And Gerard says this is an overreaction, just being nice to us because of the past history. I haven't really put that into consideration, but y'all might be right about that. Let me see. D. Biddle also says overreaction. Whew, these things is flying in. My chat just did something crazy. Yo, Sebastian said, Awthentik, you need that Haitian remedy. Onion water, my mom be making that and it helps. I'm going to try that out, man. I know my Jamaicans be on them hot toddies one time. That definitely helps out a little bit, too. I'm going to try to do my best. I've been trying to stay hydrated, man, try to kill this. My immune system normally treats me pretty well when I feel like something crazy coming on. My girlfriend definitely has the flu right now. She's going to be away for like about 4 days, kind of in and out of the crib, though, so that's going to kind of help me out a little bit. But I'm hoping I can beat this, man, because it's going to be a long week. We got the Washington Commanders coming up this week, man. So, I gotta be right for this, man. I'm trying to crank out this content for y'all. Y'all know what it is. Let me see who else got some opinions on this one time. Sly Cooper in the building got one. He says, feel like him liking tweets of him in a Cowboys uniform is just leverage. Honestly, I think he wants to come home, and I think ultimately he will end up back here. This is a good point. Some people were talking about this on Twitter about him liking it was probably the reason why he was going to be going to the Cowboys. But I also saw somebody say that Odell Beckham's media team and his whole camp, his PR team, has done a fantastic job of, generating the buzz, man, and really getting, trying to get Odell back to the biggest bag that he could possibly get to, man. Because for me, it's like, I just don't see us paying a guy no $20 million. But a lot of people have been talking about that. But we'll see. Sly Cooper, that's a really good point you bring up right there. William Meyer in the building says he's taking the under. He said that and on team that offer multiple years. I think what he's trying to say there is, yeah, he said that, and he's pretty much trying to go for the team that's going to offer multiple years. Yeah, I definitely feel you on that, fam. Jay Jean says, I picked the overreaction. I think he's shopping. He's looking at his looks. Yeah, that's true, because this is Odell's last bag, so it is important for him to get a big bag for this one. Might be his last contract ever. Word says, if OBJ joined the Cowboys, I'd honestly still appreciate his time with us, but couldn't help to have a sour taste in my mouth. Yeah, that's true. I don't want to see him go to the Cowboys as well. If it's not the New York Giants, I'd prefer Buffalo Bills, go to another New York team. But we'll see. A lot of people have been talking about weather factoring in and whatnot, but I don't think that'll factor in on his decision. But I'd cross my fingers that he'd be a New York Giant. Of those three teams they talking about, it'd be best for me if he came back to the Giants, man, and try to rewrite this narrative, because you already know these people going to flip-flop if Odell come over here and he ball out. Isaiah in the building says this is an overreaction. Deedon also says he's taking the under, actually. I like that. Oscar Unrated says, I would be upset if Odell joined the Cowboys, but honestly, for his personality, they're the perfect team. Yeah, you're right about that. That they like those kind of personalities over there in Dallas. Him and CeeDee Lamb would make a really, really good duo. And then you got Michael Gallup out there. It'd be a ideal situation as far as the offense goes for me. I think that, he could ease his way into the system, whereas if he does come to New York, they're going to expect him to get out here and get on the field immediately and make an impact, which that's going to be tough with this roster for sure. First push of the day, SHU Carter taking a push. I like that. Taking a push one time, man. Let me see. Who else we got in the building? Just scrolling here. Okay, we kind of caught up. That's good, because I do want to fly through these overreactions. I got a ton of them to go through today, man. And I'm going to try to keep this show under 2 hours for y'all. So let's keep it funky, man, and just get off into the next overreaction one time. And I wanted to bring the Odell one up first because, man, we got to talk about what we got right here, right now. We can't be talking about what we hoping on and all that. We really got to talk about the players that are on this team right now and how we're going to move forward with this New York Giants roster, this locker room, this quarterback, this offense, this defense, these injuries. There's so much going on with the New York Giants. All right, so let's move into this next one. All right, y'all, this one. I know this one going to ruffle a couple feathers one time. Healthy or not, the Giants are not in the same class as the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles. Chat, let me know what y'all thinking about this one. If this is indeed an overreaction, let me see some O's in the chat. If you agree with the statement on the screen, let me see them U's in the chat one time. We're going to try to fly through this one time real quick. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat as best as I can, highlight a couple of y'all. Oh, and let me give y'all my opinion on the Odell thing. I think it's an overreaction. I definitely think the Odell thing's an overreaction. I don't think that he's coming home and that's why he picked us first. I think he might have picked us first actually because it might be the easiest option to rule out if things aren't going his way as far as the contract, etc. I ain't think this one was going to be so overwhelming. So we got unders. Bunch of y'all agreeing with the statement on the screen. Havoc, Sebastian, my man Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. I love when I see Jeff spelled like that right there. When I was a younger kid back in the day, there was a dude who was like the swimming coach, and he was like the best swimmer at the pool we attended. His name was Jeff, and we used to call him G-Off back in the day. So every time I see that, that reminds me of him. But Jeff taking that under one time. Gerard taking that under one time. Jameson taking the under. I don't know how I feel about that, Jameson. You a Cowboys fan. Word taking the under. We got unders all across the board on this one. A bunch of U's on here. Gregory said underwater. Gregory's a Dallas Cowboys fan, too. I don't know how I feel about that, Gregory. You ain't going to be just stomping out on my New York Giants one time out here. Kareem Yee one time taking the under. Mike K taking the under as well. And he says if we are talking about strictly roster, I would say across the board. Let's say across the board. Let's say roster. Let's say talent. Let's say coaching. Let's say all of that. You know what I'm saying? The way they've been playing, all of that. You can take everything into consideration. But Mike K is taking the under as well. Kansas Zero taking the under. Sadly, our team just doesn't have talent like the Eagles and the Cowgirls. Yeah, that's facts right there. Shout out to the Cowboys and the Cowgirls out there, man. Y'all already know, man. The Cowgirls, the women out there supporting, they getting it too. Isaiah taking the under. Let me see. Old Man Rob in the building. Shout out Old Man Rob. He's one of our trivia winners a couple weeks back, man. Shout out Old Man Rob one time. Make sure y'all pull up on Thursday. We give away something every week, man. Cowboy stuff, Giant stuff, Eagle stuff, Washington stuff, whatever fan you are. My man The Beard and Over the Years Sports, they got something for you over there. So make sure y'all pull up Thursday and Tuesday. Y'all know how we do. We're going to be doing the recap. The Beard's going to be smiling ear to ear, and I'm going to be having a tough time on that show for sure. Oscar Rated, he's taking the under as well. Pretty good explanation here, too. He says, regardless of our record, we could see in our wins we were squeaking by. Even against the Texans, we didn't look like we were much more talented than them. Yeah, and then the Washington Commanders end up coming out, and I think they held the Texans to like 12 yards on the ground, or they held Dameon Pierce to 12 yards, man. Yeah, and he definitely was going crazy against the New York Giants, so that's a good point there as well. Bub's taking the under, but he says we can compete at full strength. I almost want to keep that up because that's about exactly how I feel. Zeke Anderson, shout out Zeke, man, and I definitely appreciate that super chat earlier in the show, Zeke. Zeke's taking the under with a couple of U's one time. Let me see what else we got here. Sly Cooper responding also says healthy we could be, but if we're talking talent in certain positions such as wide receiver and linebacker, maybe not. That's facts. Jay Jean taking a push on this one time. Any given Sunday. Who? The same Cowboys that crapped the bed against the Packers or the same Eagles who crapped the bed against then 4 or 5 win commies. Yeah, that's a good point right there because the Eagles did come off that loss to the Washington Commanders. And I know a lot of people sleeping on the Commanders. Commanders are a pretty decent team too, but I didn't put them up here because I don't think that they're in the same class as the Cowboys or the Eagles either, but they did beat the Eagles. I did forget about that. William Meyer also taking the under. Defense, yes. Offense, no. Kevin the PRF taking the under as well. Kevin's a Washington fan. Jay Jean, I'm still holding on to optimism for the G-Men, though. Yep, I'm with you on that. Mac, the Giants fan, taking the under. Yo, I appreciate all of y'all with the engagement, too, man, because we got like a good 90 in the building right now across all platforms. And, man, y'all are showing up and showing out with these votes right here. I definitely appreciate that one time. Deedon says overreaction. Okay, I like that. A couple overreactions here. All right, so we got down to the bottom of that. Let me read. Sometimes I got to just reread it and let it sink into my brain one more time. Healthy or not? So we're talking healthy. The Giants are not in the same class as the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to say this is an overreaction. Let me tell you why. Because healthy, we talking everybody. We talking Wandale. We talking Sterling Shepard. Okay, we're talking about the injuries that's happening on this offensive line. Evan Neal, left guard position has been banged up all year long. Defensive line, can't forget Leonard Williams went out. Didn't play against Dallas. Yeah, because I think Leonard Williams went out against the Panthers maybe in week 2 or week 3, whatever that was. I think Leonard Williams was out against the Cowboys. So you can't forget about Leonard Williams. Adoree Jackson, Fabian Monroe. It's been tough for the New York Giants, man. The injuries have been real crazy this year. So I will say this. I don't think that we're like neck and neck in the same class, but we could put like the Prius in the same class as like the Accord, right? We could kind of do that. We could expect it's good on gas. We got good coaching. I think we do have an edge in coaching over a lot of these teams in the NFC East. So I'm going to say it's an overreaction for now. I kind of wanted to take the push, but hey, man, we're feeling gutsy today. So we're going to say it's an overreaction. And let me see. Gregory says, because you are a Giants fan, what else would you say? You know what it is, man. Giants Nation's in the building, Gregory. That's what it is. And I do think that, like, y'all, the classes, okay, so let's say the classes are like, I try to compare it to cars a little bit, right? But I think there's probably like 3 classes, right? You got the medium, you got the bottom of the pack, the teams that are just not good at all, and you got the teams at the top of the division, the teams that are better teams. I mean, we do got the same amount of wins. We had the same amount of wins entering this game. And I think the Giants have, overexceeded a little bit, but I do think we're in the same class. If we're healthy and we play y'all, I think we have a great shot at beating y'all. And even in this game, 28-20, and the Giants were decimated, 10 injuries. Cowboys took care of business. I'm not taking nothing away from them, Gregory. You know what it is. Y'all definitely handle business, and y'all are playing really good football. Offensively, y'all look fantastic, and y'all front man on defense is just – y'all got the scariest front in the whole division, maybe the best defensive player in the entire league, to be honest. But let's get off into this this next overreaction here one time. I brought like 7. I might skip one. We're going to keep that one in the reserves for now as we go to this next one time. I'm so curious to know how y'all feel about this one right here. The Giants had the benefit of playing a last place schedule. The collapse is coming. I found this one on Twitter. This one dated back all the way to November 14th. So this was like a little bit of foresight before the game against the Cowboys one time. And I'm trying to think when that game was against the Detroit Lions. It might have been before the Detroit Lions game. What y'all thinking about this one, though? Do y'all think the collapse is coming? Is this an overreaction? Even if you think the collapse might not be coming, do you think that this is an overreaction? And let me go over some of these games that the New York Giants got coming up. Y'all know what it is. The 2 matchups against the Washington Commanders. You got the Eagles in between that. You got the Colts. You got the Vikings. What y'all think? What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that? And you got the Eagles to end the season as well. So you got 2 matchups against the Eagles. I see Giants Nations in the building, man. We pulled up strong, man. I know the strong side is not here today. I'm representing that left side one time, and the chat is definitely representing that strong side. A lot of O's. A lot of people think this one is an overreaction. Jay Jean, Mike K, Havoc in the building. Shout out Havoc in the building, man. Look fresh in that profile pic one time. Jerry in the building. I think Jerry might be a new face in the building too. Shout out to Jerry, man. Make sure if you're digging the vibes here, man, hit that subscribe button, man. That goes a long way for this channel, man. We're not really based on numbers and whatnot over here as far as Authentic and the Beard goes. We're more about quality. That's what we like to present to people over here. But the subscriptions definitely go a long way, and it'll get this channel out into the universe so more people can see what we're doing and we could build this family even bigger. And I always tell people, we're trying to keep this family with respect and dignity. We want people to come here with takes and have a good time, man. We don't want this to be a toxic community. I definitely don't want that over here, So my moderator's been on it. They've been holding us down all year long, and we're going to continue to do that. But definitely spread the word about Authentic and the Beer, man. We got a good thing going over here. Bookend Tackles is taking the overreaction as well. SHU Carter in the building, my Haitian brethren, Sac Passe Mon Cher. Is definitely taking the overreaction as well. Sly Cooper taking the overreaction too. I like how Sly Cooper giving me these explanations with the overreaction as well. He says, LOL, if you look at our schedule from the Lions game on, we have the 3rd hardest remaining schedule in the league. Yeah, that's facts. And from here on out, we have the hardest schedule remaining as far as win percentage goes, man. It's going to be tough sledding for the New York Giants, man. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards this one not being an overreaction. Even if the collapse don't happen, I think this might not be an overreaction. Words taking the overreaction. Mac the Giants fan taking the overreaction. Make sure y'all go sub up to Mac the Giants fan. Arvin Palmer one time in the building says that he's taking the under. He agrees with the statement on the screen. Arvin, remind me. I can't remember if you were a Giants fan or not. Remind me if you're a Giants fan or not, because I want to see what Giants fans really think that the collapse might be coming as well, too, because I know outside of division, people was looking at us crazy like, man, this Giants team is not it. They not it. People within the building and people within our community, we know that this Giants team is, we're pretty good. We have overexceeded, but we're a pretty decent team. But I want to know where Arvin Palmer stands. I'm gonna try to keep my eye out on the chat and see what's going on. Gerard says it's an overreaction. The Vito show in the building one time says overreaction. Y'all have good coaching. Y'all can grind out games. Okay. That's what's up. I like that. You're making me feel a little bit more confident about it. Sebastian says you still have to take care of your schedule regardless. People had us winning 6 games this year. That's real. And that's right where I was at. I had it set about 6 games. That's right where I was at. Brian Pratt says this is a overreaction. Jeff, still in the building one time, says he's taking under just because of injuries. We can't keep up. That's a good point. That's a really good point right there. The injuries, Adoree Jackson probably gone for most of the season here. Fabian Moreau needs to get back in this lineup. Gregory says, sorry, Awthentik. I'm a give Gregory one of those reverse Uno cards one time just because you a Cowboys fan. I get it. Jameson says it's overreaction. Deedon Shelton says yous are bugging. I like that. And Arvin came back and he said under. Giants won't beat Philly or the Vikings. Washington will give them some problems. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now too. Money 1964. Shout out to Money. This is a new face in the building too, man. Shout out to Money one time. Says this is an overreaction. Let me see who else in the building. Kevin the PRF says this is an overreaction as well. And then Oscar Unrated, taking it under. The whole NFC East had an easy schedule. Now it's getting tough. We might only win 1 or 2 more games. Okay. I like that. Old man Rob over. Kansan taking the overreaction as well. Let me see. Nora's in the building one time, taking a crazy O. Money added some more O's. Shout out to Money one time in the building. And William Meyer taking an O, says laugh out loud, had the hardest in the NFC so far. I wonder if he's talking about the schedule. Let me see. Who else we got in the building one time? Let me see. Havoc got a good one here. Excuse me, y'all. He says, if we're looking at the last question talent-wise, look at the other team's schedule in our division. Really? Our team last year was struggling. So play the team in front of you. Yeah, that's a good point. I do think the schedule has been a little bit easier, but we won some games that people didn't think we would win. Titans, Packers, Ravens, those are some big games. We lost that Lions game. I didn't think the Lions were going to be a team that we were going to actually get the win to, but a lot of the Giants community thought we would win that game. I called that one was going to be a loss. I just didn't, non-divisional team with a high-powered offense. I knew that was going to be tough sledding for the Giants one time. But that's a good point. That's a good point right there, Havoc. And Arvin says, huge Giants fan. That's good to know, man. Giants Nation is in the building. You know what it is, man. Let me see. Oscar said part of the reason our remaining schedule is so hard is because it's against NFC East teams, which have inflated records because we've all played easy schedules to start. Great point. The whole NFC East is a little bit overinflated. I said that a couple weeks ago, too. I definitely agree with you on that. Bubs is taking a push. That's a smart move right there. You might want to take that push until about week 17, week 18. I feel you on that. And then Kareem Yee's also taking a push. Last 2 games got me a little worried that a collapse is possible. Facts. Deedon says it's an overreaction for sure. Let me see what else we got up in here. Mac the Giants fan. Strength of schedule don't mean that much to me. Too much parity year to base anything off that. Look how bad the Bucs and the Rams look. You never know year to year how good anyone is. Yeah, and the Bucs were starting to kind of get it together there, man. Then they took that loss to the Browns there in a tough, close game. Late collapse by the Bucs there, man. It looked like they had that one right in their grasp, man, and let that one go. Let me see who else in the building. Jonathan Studios says he's taking the under. Collapse is the wrong word. 8-9 is a success when you double your win total from the previous year. Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I don't think we're going to be 8-9. I think we'll get to at least 9 wins. I think we'll get to at least 9 wins. We'll see. And 9 wins could give us a chance. 10 wins, I think, gets us in. Shout out to the homie, man, my day one right here, man. Ben Noggle in the building one time, man. We used to kick it, man. We had one of the greatest parties that I've not only ever been to in New York, but ever been to in my entire life. I went up to New York to go check out some shows one time, and Ben Noggle was like, yo, you in town? Let's link up, man. So we linked up, went and saw a band at like a hole-in-the-wall kind of spot, and then after the show, we saw a couple people just kind of leaking out, walking through these gates, and we were like, what's that? I'm one of them dudes that, like, I like to keep the party going once the party's popping, right? I'm like, what's going on over here? And somebody hit me, and they said, yo, it's like a mansion party, man. It's crazy in there, da-da-da. So me and Ben Noggle, just me and Ben Noggle, we pull up in this party, and I can't remember. Ben will remind me where we were at in the city. I can't remember exactly where we was at. He's like, let's go, man. I'm like, all right. He finessed somehow. He got a bottle of Grey Goose, man, the big bottle. And we go into this party. It is absolutely, it's insane. Like 5 levels in this big-ass mansion of people just partying, man. All kind of people just having a great time, blazing out, drinking. It was like a rooftop, man. one of the craziest parties I've went to, and literally a night I'll never forget, man. So shout out to my day one. Me and Ben Nagel go way back to our days in Maryland, man. We used to hang out a lot, kick it with the homies and whatnot, man. So shout out to Ben Nagel, man, because one of my best times in New York was with the homie here, right here, man. Appreciate you pulling up. I believe he's a Commanders fan still, and definitely appreciate you rocking with us on this Monday afternoon, fam. Yo, I see him in the chat clouded too. Yeah, man. So as far as Lower East Side, we was in the Lower East Side. Yo, shout out my guy, Ben Nagel, bro. That was an epic night, man. That was an epic night, man. Yeah, it was definitely a movie, no Mets. It was straight up a movie. Like, it was a party out of a movie, man. Like, you walked in, it was just crazy. People, like, passed out drunk, people partying, dancing, vibes, DJs, rapping. Like, it was everything. Everything you could ask for in a great party, man. So shout out to homie one time in the building, man. He gives us the fist right there. That's my dude right there. I think, where you at these days, Ben? I think you over there in Washington, or you in, like, Seattle or something still, man. I definitely want to get up and get to snowboarding with you one day, man. I still haven't gotten to do that with you. We got to do that. But as far as this statement on the screen, yo, Ben got me losing my track of mind right here, yo. Cop showed up. That's when we left. That's facts. We balled out of there. But the Giants had the benefit of playing the last place schedule. I think we did have that benefit. The collapse is coming. I'm going to take the push on this one, y'all, because I want to see how the Giants look against the Washington Commanders here this week. I think that's very important. This game will tell us where we stand. We lost that game against the Detroit Lions. Didn't look too great against the Houston Texans. Lost to the Dallas Cowboys, banged up. Hopefully we can get some people back here off this injury report, man, and get back to playing some good football, man, and winning some games here. But this Washington game, yeah, keep my eyes on that one. I'm going to take the push until we get to that game, and we'll see. We'll revisit this one. We'll revisit this one for the next 2 weeks. I guarantee y'all that. We'll definitely do that. All right, let's get into this next Giant overreaction, man, one time. I got a couple more for y'all, and then we'll get up out of here. Speaking of the Washington game here one time, and I think this one came from one of our homies that's in the chat right now. Shout out to him, Sakpase Moshe. I saw you on Twitter talking it up. I seen you representing for that blue. I saw you. Let me keep my eye on the chat here one time. Let's get some vibes one time. My man says, don't worry. Daniel Jones will continue his dominance versus Washington. Chat, what y'all thinking about this one? Is this an overreaction from one of our Giants fans who's in the chat, I believe, right now? He might be in the chat right now. And I gave y'all a little bit of hint with my greeting of who it could be. Let me see what y'all talking one time. Shout out SHU Carter in the building, man, being active one time. Says this is an overreaction. The dominance ain't going to continue. Is that what you telling me? Is that what you telling me, my Haitian friend? Is that what you telling me? The dominance will not continue? We shall see. We shall see. Robert Gregory in the building. He says McKinney and Jackson is a killer. Yeah, that really hurt us against Dallas, man. We needed our best cornerbacks in the game going up against that high-powered offense, man, and definitely struggled, man. Definitely struggled out there with Flott. They ended up benching. Well, they didn't bench Flott, but they took him out of the game. And ended up replacing him for a while there. And I know he played some more snaps, but Flott was having a tough day. He was definitely having a tough day. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets taking the push on this one. Nor is taking the under, agreeing with the statement on this one. I like that. I want the confidence. I want the confidence going into this week versus Washington. Y'all know my co-host, man, the Beard. He over here licking his chops, getting ready for this game, thinking they're going to take care of business. And Nor says Daniel Jones going to fry them. I like that. I like that. No Mets, no Nets taking the push one time. Their games can go either way. Yeah, that's a good point right there. Oscar Unrated is saying it's an overreaction. They won like 5 out of the 6. They're looking scary. Yeah, and Daniel Jones, I think, has only lost once to the Washington Commanders. That was last year. Robert Gregory said way over. And Mac Lowe, who reneged on that bet. I don't know if y'all saw Mac Lowe in the chat talking about, hey, why don't we make this bet 2 scores for the Washington Commanders? I hit him up. He was like, nah, I'll do it straight up. But he wouldn't do it with the 2 scores. I ain't taking that bet straight up. No way. But shout out to homie Mac Lowe, man. And Mac Lowe got a new project out there, man. So do him a favor. If you on your iTunes, you on your Spotify, man, search Mac Lowe out there, man. He needs the support out there, man. He's got some great music. I've been working with Mac Lowe for a long time here, man. Send me that session, bro. Send me that session. I'll get to working on that today, man. I'm pretty much taking a sick day over here, man, just chilling. So I'll get to working on that. Send that over, fam. My man Kevin the PRF says over, and then he he took a line from the beard talking about the buzzsaw that the Atlanta Falcons didn't really run into. Atlanta, man, I'm still so upset about that game. Falcons should have beat y'all, man. That was just a heartbreaking loss for the Atlanta Giants for me, man. That hurt. That definitely hurt. The Vito Show still here rocking with us, taking a push. They got to use him in the run game sometimes. Yeah, they got to find a way to get Daniel Jones' legs involved in this one for sure, man. Let me see. SHU Carter says, that's the type of quote that will be the opposite of what will happen. I'm still waiting for the homie to actually put this on Twitter to see it, if he's still here in the chat. I haven't seen him answer yet. We'll see what's going on. Jay Jean also says, this is an overreaction. I saw next week's game, but not the second one. Let me see what Jay Jean, help me out on that one, JJ. I kind of think you're trying to say maybe not next week's game, but we'll win the second one. I think that's what Jay James is saying. Mac Lowe says, we some bums. Okay. Y'all still got more losses than us, though. That's what's up. I think that makes a lot of sense, Mac Lowe. Salute to you. Matter of fact, Giants fans don't support Mac Lowe on Spotify. It's like, nah, I'm just playing with y'all. Let me see what else we got in here. William Meyer taking a push on this one time. Bub's also taking a push. Washington has a good D-line. They do, and their D-line showed up against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm here in D.C., man. I'm not sleeping on the Washington Commanders. I know what they're capable of, and when you get Taylor Heineke playing mistake-free football, which you really didn't see that much against Atlanta, I think that did keep them around because Taylor Heineke was kind of struggling on the day, but Brian Robinson, man, running tough. You got Antonio Gibson out there. It's going to be very similar to the matchup against the Cowboys where, we got to figure out a way to stop the run early. That's what it's about, man. Like, if you allow the Commanders to get their running game going early and maybe have like a lead at the half, that's not a good recipe for the New York Giants. Definitely not. Gregory said, push. And Word also taking a push one time. I used Gregory's statement there to get a little phlegm out real quick one time because I'm struggling, man. This is really kicking my ass over here with this flu going around here, man. And I could see when we were eating Thanksgiving dinner, one of the homies' sons, he was just like coughing the whole time. And I kind of, I just paid it no mind. Like, man, I got a Haitian immune system. I'm going to be all right out here one time. Man, my girl woke up the next day. She could not get out of bed. And I was just kind of like, I'm kind of feeling a little groggy. Woke up today and I was like, yeah, something definitely on me. So I'm still fighting this, trying to get it off me one time. Brian is also taking the under on this one. He says he always plays well against Washington. That's facts. That last game against Washington, I was there. He was balling out. It came down to a couple of plays. The Darius Slayton drop was a big one. And also the third down throw from Daniel Jones that was behind Sterling Shepard to convert on third down to keep that drive going. Because if we scored a touchdown there, that game is ours. We end up not scoring a touchdown. After the James Bradbury interception, Washington comes down with a big play on a wheel route. And the rest is history, Dexter Lawrence offsides. Y'all were looking at Dexter Lawrence a lot different last year after that offsides penalty. I was looking at him crazy. He's looking like one of the best D tackles in the business right now. Let me see. Gerard taking a push as well. And Young, yeah, we got to remember. Bubs is talking about Chase Young is going to be back in the lineup. That's a fact, too. Mike K says it's an overreaction. Love DJ this year, but when he has dominated, we haven't won a game by more than one possession. Oh, that's facts. Packers game. I mean, we really don't win games by more than one possession. That's just not a vibe. We just don't. Yeah. Norris says it ain't confidence, it's facts. I like that one time. And Mac Lowe says that they're going to crush us. He sent the message to the beard one time. Norris talking about the numbers say it all. Sly Cooper's taking the under on this one. Jay Jean taking the over. Sly Cooper says Danny W's. Whew, I like that. I was trying to call him Danny Dubs for a while there. He says he owns Washington. He should be undefeated against them. If Slayton catches that ball last year, we win the game. Yeah, it's facts right there. It's definitely facts. Let me see. Jay Jean says, overreaction, they riding high. We stumbling. We got peeps coming back. So classic trap game. So we win one, but they going to be ready for that second game. I do have good luck when I'm at FedEx Field, and I'm definitely going to be at FedEx Field. I haven't seen the Giants lose a lot of games at FedEx Field. That one, the Daniel Jones and the Giants lost last year was one of the first ones in a while. I definitely used to see Eli just go up there and just take care of business a whole lot one time. Mac, the Giants fan, taking a push. Sometimes guys just play with more confidence against teams they've had past success against. Yeah, that's real right there. Yeah, Mac Lowe says, got me. Yeah, definitely. Send that to me today. I sent you the email and text the other day. Arvin is taking the under one time. He says Giants win on the ground. Washington's D-line heating up, and DJ isn't seeing the field well right now. Giants don't have a counter for what defenses are doing. stunting D linemen and disrupting the run game. Yeah, we don't. When we got to throw the ball and teams take away the run, it's a problem for the Giants for sure. I like this right here. Kevin the PRF says it's an overreaction, part 3, and that's without the Predator. This what's wild about this matchup is we might see Washington in the playoffs if we can get to the playoffs, and I'm gonna get to that in the overreaction here. Another one we got coming up. But this one was kind of split, man. This one's kind of split. Robert, we don't know if Chase Young's definitely playing, but it's likely that he'll probably play. I mean, he's been out now for 2 weeks after they said he was cleared to play, so we'll see. Robert also said if Barkley can run it, we can win it. So I saw a lot of people kind of split on this one. I know his dominance will continue at FedEx Field. At home, I'm going to take the push on this one, too. Y'all going to think that's kind of weak. I'm going to take the push on this one. I'm going to wait. I want to see this first matchup. I really want to see this first matchup. If Daniel Jones can come out here and show he can throw it against this Washington Commanders defense, then I might feel a little bit differently. But I think they're both going to be close games. I think they're both going to be close games. And shout out to the homie Sebastian. I'm pretty sure I saw this on Sebastian's feed. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure I saw this on Sebastian's feed one time. Shout out to Sebastian, man, for helping us out with bringing some content one time to the New York Giants community. All right, so I got at least 2 more. And we'll get into this next overreaction one time. I might do the third one, but I got at least 2 more. All right, this one. And it's not this one. I'm gonna refresh it. I just want to get some music here. This next one came from Lawrence Tynes. And he tweeted this one out after a Sunday night football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. And I loved it. I just thought it was one that might split the room. Let me know what y'all think about this one. He says, to hell with it. I'm going to need to see Daniel Jones run as much as Jalen Hurts has if we want to make the playoffs. Chat, what y'all thinking about this one? Is this one an overreaction to Jalen Hurts' success on the ground? He did break the Philadelphia Eagles record for most rushing yards by a quarterback last night. When I looked up last, he had at least 143 yards on the ground. What y'all think about this one? Is this one a overreaction or not? Shout out to homie OG Knockout one time in the building, man. OG Knockout, that's fam right there. He brings a lot of balance to the Giants community, man. I definitely appreciate you pulling up, fam. He says Washington got the momentum, right? We taking an L, homie. We'll see. I'm not making no predictions quite yet on the OG Knockout. I got to, do a little bit more research, get through this recap tomorrow, and by Thursday, I'll have a definitive opinion on it. Make sure y'all pull up to both of those shows, though, man. Shout out to OG Knockout one time in the building. My bike. Love that. I love that profile picture one time. All right, so let's see how y'all feeling about this one from Lawrence Tynes on the screen one time. And make sure y'all go show some love to Lawrence Tynes' podcast, man. I'm not sure the exact name of it, but I do know that the NY Post posted on YouTube. Make sure y'all go show some love, man. Lawrence Tynes, man, he's such a pivotal piece in the New York Giants community. I be having I be overwhelmed. I be like, yo, a dude that made a Super Bowl winning kick for my team follows me on Twitter and literally be engaging with me on Twitter, talking about different takes and stuff like that, man. So shout out to Lawrence Tynes, man. He's featured on a lot of channels in the community and whatnot, man. He's just a good dude, man. Really good dude. I have had a lot of conversations with Lawrence Tynes on Twitter, man, that I learn a lot from his perspective. And I'll tell y'all one of them. He said, if you're a kicker in the NFL, you should work out with your team as if you're one of the players, that's not just a kicker. Do the off-season workouts. Be there in the weight room and do all that. So when you miss a kick, they know that you're one of them. I thought that was a great point and a great piece of advice for young kickers out there, man. Lawrence Tynes always dropping gems one time, man. Shout out to him. And let's see what the chat talking one time here. And yeah, you already know, OG. You know what it is, fam. Lesnar one time in the building. I think Lesnar might be a new face in the building one time. I'm not too sure I seen Lesnar in here one time, but shout out to Lesnar one time in the building. He says this is an overreaction. Team's going to game plan to stop that. Yep, teams are definitely going to game plan to try to stop that read option, that RPO. That's facts right there. And Kevin the PRF says he's taking the push. It's kind of paired with Saquon's success. Great point. Great point. The only game you really saw Daniel Jones have some success on the ground where Saquon Barkley had a tough day was against the Detroit Lions. And their defensive ends, I don't think they had the personnel to really sell out the way they wanted to and guard the read option. So Daniel Jones, in return, he did see some success. But outside of that, when Saquon Barkley ain't clicking, you're not going to get too much big running out of Daniel Jones. But we need it, man. This team, with the lack of weapons, we need Daniel Jones to be an option on the ground. We really do. Jameson says it's an overreaction. Okay. The Vito Show agrees with the statement on screen, says he does need to run more, but not more than 15 rushing attempts. Can't let him get hurt. That's facts. And we're fortunate that Daniel Jones, he's ran a lot. He has the New York Giants single-season rushing record this year for a quarterback. He's ran a lot, and, he hasn't gotten hurt. He's taken a couple of, some big hits there, here and there. But, he's gotten up, and he hasn't been hurt this year. Lesnar also says it's an overreaction because he don't want DJ to get hurt. These are some good points y'all bringing up. That's facts. Brian's going to need to push on this one. I feel you on that, Brian. Gregory says, I hope so, but he's taking a push on this one. Kansan is also taking the overreaction. He says, Jalen Hurts is elusive. DJ is a straight runner. I think DJ should only use his legs on design runs. It's an interesting take there because I do agree with you. Like, yeah, Hurts is elusive. Hurts can run it when it's not a designed run. So I do agree with you on that. Like, he's elusive, and DJ should do it on design runs. Read options where you at least got a couple of options to make, hand it or keep it and take the run. So, yeah, I agree with you. If you're referring to read option as like a designed run, 100% agree with you on that. Let me see. Mac, the Giants fan, agrees with it as well. Jonathan Studios agrees with it as well. Haven't heard the last of that neck injury. Awthentik. Keep the man out of harm's way. Yep, that's facts. That's facts right there. Arvin says it's an overreaction. DJ's a different QB. He's got a faster top speed, but laterally he's not as good as Jalen. Giants need to open up deep passing game if we want to make the playoffs. I like this take right here, but I do disagree with it a little bit. You got to find a way to get the ball down the field for sure, but I think like Daniel's got to get his runs off in his spots. That's an important thing to keep the defense like sound and keep them off balance. If you can get Saquon Barkley moving and you can get Daniel Jones seeing success with running the ball, whether it be designed or not designed, taking off, running, whatever it is, then I think you have more of a shot to open up the deep plays down the field too. So I like kind of agree with it, but there are portions of it I don't agree with there. Sly Cooper is taking the push. He says, when DJ runs, it works. Team stack the box against Saquon. Then the RPO is there all day long. Kafka needs to scheme more around DJ's legs. He has to learn how to slide, though. Facts. Yeah, and he's a big guy, man. I think the reason why Daniel Jones struggles sliding is because he's such just a tall quarterback, bigger dude, but he's got to figure out a way to slide better. And probably wasn't playing baseball too much when he was a kid, man. Like, you got to learn how to slide. Let me see what else we got here. The Beard got a little something going on here, too. He says, Mariota was killing us, and I know we are going to have to game plan for Jones this week just in case. Facts. Mariota was killing y'all up the middle. Like, he would allow, like, the edge rushers to kind of get outside, and they were kind of flushing them outside, and then Mariota would just step up and just kill y'all right down the middle. And I think Daniel's going to have to do that a lot. He's going to have to be decisive in this game, and when he sees it, just take those openings, man. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets says DJ needs to run more, but he could still be injured, so he's limited with his legs. Yep. Everybody talking about the injury, and I think y'all are spot on about that as well. Gerard is taking the push on this one. He says if it's last regular game to get to playoffs, then because DJ needs to ball out. Yeah, by any means necessary when we get down to them last two games. If you got to take an injury and you got to put it all on the line in them last two games, do what you got to do. Bookend talks about Daniel Jones carries, 451 yards to date. Yep, that's the New York Giants quarterback record. And he's also averaging 5.7 yards per carry. I appreciate that, Bookend. It's always good to have people helping us out with them stats up here, man. You know what it is. And OG Knockout says DJ seems like he's scared to throw the deep ball. Look at some of the passes Joe Burrows threw yesterday. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you who brought up a really good point about DJ being a little bit timid throwing the deep pass in this game versus the Dallas Cowboys. The homie Antonio from what's the name of his podcast? I want to say it's Breaking Tackles. Yeah, Breaking Tackles podcast. And I'll tell you, like, a lot of times that I see Antonio do breakdowns of tape, I don't agree with a lot of stuff that he says, but the one that he posted yesterday, I believe, it was yesterday because it was during the game. The one he posted yesterday, he called it. Pressure started to get to Daniel Jones a little bit, and he had Tanner Hudson down the field, one-on-one down the middle, no safety over the top. And he ended up running it. He ended up getting 7 yards, so it wasn't that bad. He did get some positive yards out of it. But those are them shots that you see them quarterbacks like Joe Burrow take. He sees it. He's going to take it, man. Like one-on-one, in the NFL, one-on-one, the receiver has the advantage all damn day. You got to take those shots, man. And I feel you on that. Daniel Jones has been a bit timid, for sure. He's definitely been a bit timid. Dominic in the building one time, too. Shout out Dominic in the building. He says under. It works. It does work. Yeah, it has worked. And they got to find a way to utilize that early. It's like, man, like, Don't get away from that. It's been a part of why Saquon Barkley has been our identity. And, Daniel Jones just has to make the right read on a lot of those read options. When that DN crashes down, do your thing, man. Get that ball to Saquon Barkley. Or when he doesn't crash down, get that ball to Saquon Barkley. And when he does crash down, do your thing, man. Get them yards, man. I'm trying to see Daniel Jones of, them big runs he had against Philly, those 2 big runs, the touchdown run, the one where he fell after running 88 or 80 yards. I don't care. Get them yards, man. Do what you got to do. I see Jay Jean asking for Kevin to PRF's team. Kevin is a Washington Commanders fan. And OG Knockout, one more here, says sometimes you got to throw the contested ball to your receivers so they can make a play on the ball. And you know what? It's exactly what happened on the play with Darius Slayton. Like, just don't be scared, man. Do it more. Especially the thing about a deep pass is like, if it gets intercepted, at least it's kind of like a punt. You got a deep pass down there. You might be killing some drives and stalling some drives out. But, you're throwing the ball deep down the field. At worst, you're going to have like a 30, 40-yard punt, man. Do your thing, Daniel. Don't be scared, man. Get out here and do what you got to do. And No Mets, No Nets says, great point. And Arvin Palmer says, the problem is backside defenders are crashing down. Yeah, and you saw that in this game against the Cowboys, man. Like, the read option, there was a lot of traffic. It was a whole lot of traffic, which is why I say you got to take a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles book. Read option is one thing, okay? Read options where you literally just have the 2 options. It's either give it to the running back or you keeping it and you running it. The RPO gives you that third option. I think it's very important when you see that many people in the box to be able to run the RPO, and when you see traffic and have one-on-one matchups that you got to get to it quick. In this Dallas Cowboys game, they were getting to Daniel Jones fast, and the RPO, I could see why they were a little bit sketchy to run it because Daniel Jones starts to look a little bit frightened, right? And then it's like you don't want him to panic and make that mistake. And he's not having a lot of time within the pocket when they're running the RPO because those defenders are crashing down. You saw Micah Parsons. He was beating Andrew Thomas on a good chunk of these runs or a good chunk of these pass plays, and they were moving him around. He was beating everybody, man, and it was just a tough day for this offensive line. Hopefully we can get back healthy, man, and give ourselves a shot to make a run into playoffs for sure. But I agree with a lot of what y'all are saying here. But I got to say that I'm taking the under on this one. I don't know if we got to see Daniel Jones running like a Jalen Hurts as far as the style of run, but we need to see him run as much as Jalen Hurts. That I think Tynes is spot on right here with that. He needs to get those carries. And by any means, man, if they're shutting down the deep pass, take that as your opening to be able to get these runs. I like what I've seen so far out of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley with the read option. Let's just run more of it. And let me see what Gregory's talking about with the Bengals here. He says the Bengals were also running the ball down the Titans' throat. So Burrow had the pressure off of him. Yeah, and it's all balanced. This is a great point by Gregory here. You got to get the running game going. The running game going is the way to a quarterback success. We were arguing with somebody about this on Twitter, and they were like, well, there are quarterbacks in the league that don't need the running game to be able to be successful. It's only a couple, man. It's literally only a couple of those kind of quarterbacks. Outside of, the unicorns in the league, every quarterback is going to play better when he has to run. I always talk about that with Taylor Heineke too, man. Like when he has to run, he's a totally different quarterback. All right. We're definitely running out of gas with this sore throat here. I'm going to keep it funky with y'all. All right, so let's move on to this next one because I think this is the most important one. Yeah, and the one I told y'all I'm skipping that one. So we got one more before we get up out of here. I definitely appreciate all y'all rocking with me, man. 2 hours and 15 minutes, man. I'm going overtime right now. Y'all know what it is. Trying to beat this flu one time, man. Fighting it off with this immune system. I'm sure y'all can hear it in the voice for those of y'all just pulling up. It's definitely been a tough stream for me, man, fighting through it one time. But let's get off into this last giant overreaction one time. All right, y'all. Y'all know me and the Beard. We've been asking for this one all year, maybe all podcasts for the whole 4 seasons. We've been looking to try to get as many teams from the NFC East, especially our 2 teams, the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants, in. What do y'all think about this one on the screen right here? Do y'all think that this is an overreaction? All 4 teams from the NFC East are going to make the playoffs. I saw this one going around from multiple people on Twitter. Let me know what y'all think about this one time, man. Going solo today without the Beard, man. Y'all know what it is. These streams be the most difficult, man. 2.5 hours of rapping. Whew, it be definitely taking its toll on me. Let me pull up to the chat one time and see what y'all talking about. This one. I appreciate that, John B. You know I'm going to try to, man. I'm going to definitely get a lot of rest today, man. Try to stay hydrated. Try to pull up some remedies here, man. Try to get it going over here so I can pull up tomorrow, man, because it's been a consecutive streak of a lot of streams, actually, too, man. We've been going crazy, man. I think I've streamed like 5 times in the last 6 days, man. So we've been going crazy with it, man. I don't know what it is, man. Authentic and the Beard committed. Left side, strong side all day. So let me see. Sebastian says this is overreaction. So one of them ain't getting in. Okay. Jay Jean says, I believe. Okay, I like that. Taking the under one time. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Also taking the under. He said, F it. Why not? I'm with you on that. Gerard said, taking the under. Preach. Sabrina says it's an overreaction. Okay. And the Vito Show also says it's an overreaction. We'll get 3, but it will be a bloodbath. I feel you on that, bro. I definitely feel you on that. Sebastian's reasoning is there's just too many divisional games. SHU Carter taking that push one time. I like that. That's a smart, safe move right there. D. Biddle says it's an overreaction. That ain't happening. And now, don't forget that the reason why this really hasn't had a chance to happen, previous to when they switched the schedule up and gave us 17 games is because with 16 games, it's impossible for 4 teams from one division to get in. So this is going to happen at some point or another. We'll see. I don't know if it'll be the NFC East this year, but we'll see. Lesnar's in the building still taking that push one time. Sabrina's reasoning is also all 4 will be hard to do. Gregory says way overreaction. I like that. Gregory feeling real comfortable and real confident about them Cowboys. I know that one time. SHU Carter says, I want that to happen for sure, but chaos in our division. Yeah, it's getting kind of crazy here. Bookend tackles taking a push. Atriox in the building one time. The way the NFC East is, it's possible, ASF, to be honest, heavy on the Pewee. I'm trying. Maybe that's like a Pew. Shout out Atriox one time in the building. John B. Get a medicine ball from Starbucks. Works every time. Okay, that's what's up, man. I'm gonna definitely look into that. That's what's up. I appreciate that. And Atriox said, the push one time. I got you. Mac the Giants fan also taking the push. Dominic said that cup is flames. Yeah, my shorty got this one a while back. It's starting to kind of fade a little bit, but that's a nice vibes right there. Let me get that them vibes. Got a couple little scuffs on it. I've had it for about like 4 or 5 years one time. I got a bunch of Giants cups, man. Like I need to start flexing and show y'all some more. I got a bunch of mugs, a bunch of stuff, but I keep that one down here. Word says that will be crazy. Yeah, it definitely would be crazy. Let me see. OG Knockout says it's an overreaction. I hate to say this about my team, but I think the Giants is going to fade. Yeah, and that's why we put the title of this stream today, are the New York Giants collapsing before our very eyes? I remember like a few different collapses. One of them was the Deshaun Jackson punt return, man, with everything on the line. That one knocked us out. And then I'm also old enough to remember the collapse against the San Francisco 49ers on the field goal, man, where they fumbled the snap and then they didn't get the penalty called right. I think they called ineligible man downfield too, when it really should have been a pass interference. He was an eligible man downfield, so I'm old enough to remember those. And we got, a bunch of collapses before we got those 2 the most recent Super Bowl victories. So there's a part of me that feels it. Like I do feel your OG Knockout. I'm like, is that collapse on its way, man? Like, are they going to fold? And I didn't have that much confidence in this team entering the year. I thought it was going to be like a 6, maybe 7, 8 wins max type of team. And now we're sitting on 7 wins. And I feel like if they can finish strong, they'll really, 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 over-exceed people's expectations. But if we sit here around this 7-win mark, 8-win mark, people aren't going to feel as good about this season. And we'll go off into the next season with a lot of controversy, I feel like. Luis is in the building. Shout out Luis Ortega in the building. Profile pick on Flames. I'm definitely digging that. He says, why not us? I feel you. And I'm curious if we beat Washington twice, if they'll be able to get in, because they got a tough schedule too. I know they got to play the 49ers as well, man. It's some tough games for them down the stretch here. Let me see what else we got. John B says it's an overreaction. About to get ugly. Yep. Robert Gregory says keep y'all eye on Seattle. That's important right there as well. Dominic Hickman, I was about to say Dominic Hickson, like our former punt return, is taking the under as well. Agrees with the statement on the screen. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Says, hate to say it, you've been saying it all weekend. Yeah, I know. And OG Knockout says, I remember both of those. Yeah, them Jones was tough. Man, the Deshaun Jackson punt return. I used to watch games at the homie Scotty's house, who used to be a co-host on this show a while back. Shout out to Scotty. And we were watching the game, man. As soon as he returned the punt, I just like slammed the door and ran. I just straight up ran to my car, slammed the door, drove my ass home, went slammed to sleep, man. It's one of the worst Giant experiences I've ever had. But it also it gives me more respect for Deshaun Jackson, man. He was a guy. I hated him at the time, but man, he was really a problem back in the day. Let me see. Jay Jean says, y'all hear that? It's the collective screams of Bills Mafia at the end of an all NFC East playoff picture. I like that. I know that's facts. Texas boy in the building, man. Big win for y'all, Texas boys. Salute to your Cowboys, man. Washington beat the Giants. They're 8-5. I know they are on a run. Somebody was talking about like just 4 or 5 weeks ago, or whatever it was. I think 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe it was. The Giants were 7-1, and the Commanders were sitting at like 3-5. Like, dang, man, they are making a straight run right here, right now. And Sly Cooper one time in the building says, this overreaction, Washington, after losing to us twice, which will put them at 7-7, have the 49ers, that's a L, Browns L, Cowboys L, so that would put them at 7-10. Seattle's still in the mix too, bro. Yep, Seattle's definitely in the mix, yo. Seattle is definitely in the mix. I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think to sweep the Washington Commanders. I definitely think the Commanders are going to be a problem. OG Knockout does say we got to beat Washington twice and beat the Eagles once to do it. Yeah, I think the Colts game is another one that's out there. You know, I think we can hang with the Colts. And if you look at all the NFC East teams so far this year, they've all hung with the Minnesota Vikings. The Commanders hung with the Vikings and really should have won that game. The Dallas Cowboys blew the socks off the Vikings. And the Eagles beat the Vikings 24-7, where they just chilled in the second half. No team scored in the second half. So the Vikings are a really good team, and with this banged-up secondary, it's going to be very difficult. It's not a game I would pick us to win today, but I do think we got a chance one time. Shout out to Yams from Japan one time. Shout out, man. Appreciate you pulling up, Yams. Says, morning, Awthentik. Sorry I missed the show. Sorry for these upcoming losses. I like that. Yams is a Washington Commanders fan. It's going to be a great week, y'all. Make sure y'all tune into all the shows this week. We're going to be doing a recap tomorrow for Week 12, all 4 NFC East games. Thursday, we'll be doing a preview, and I promise y'all we're going to have plenty more content coming this week as well. Make sure y'all pull up to the parlay on Sunday, 11 a.m. That's going to be, man, it's going to be a lot of nerves and a lot of anxiety on that parlay on Sunday, man. We got a big week right here coming up against the Washington Commanders. It's going to be fun. But shout out to Yams one time all the way over there in Japan. Yo, salute to you, fam. Kevin the PRF says, sincerely, I would love to have 2 NFC East matchups in the playoffs. It'd be amazing. It would be amazing. What that would do for the whole community of content creators too, man. It'd be so great to have all these teams be out there in the playoffs and have some matchups, man. I think it would just be some legendary content. Shout out my guy Tuto one time, man, in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. Tuto in the building, man. One of the biggest supporters of the Giants community, man. Appreciate you pulling up, Tuto. Hope everything is going well on your end, brother. Let me see. Bookend Tackle says, I can't go by the last few weeks. Just too many injuries the last few games. If this O-line gets healthier and Bellinger comes back, it could be different. Yeah, I agree with you on that. We need Bellinger. We definitely need Bellinger. I saw that I think it was the homies from Fireside Giants posted something about Saquon Barkley's yards per carry when Bellinger was in the game and when he's not. And we know Evan Neal missing at the same time. That's not good at all. Yeah, Bookend's talking about that. Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. Facts on that. Facts on that. Shout out to Yo, what's good in the building. What's poppin', fam? What's good? Hope your holidays treated you well. He said, hate the fact that I already see it playing out in my head. DJ sack, fumble, interception, last play of the game. Washington holds on to win it and move to 8-5. I hope you're not right. I hope you're not right. I definitely hope you're not right. But as far as this one, all 4 teams from the NFC East are going to make the playoffs. I'm going to say it's an overreaction. I think it's either Washington or the Giants. One of them's going to get knocked out. And I think even if they split, I mean, there's not a lot of pressure from any other teams outside of the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, the Bucs took an L, Atlanta took an L. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's an overreaction. I would love it. I'm gonna love it. I would love it, but I'm gonna say it's no reaction. I just don't think it'll happen. I just don't think it'll happen. Let me see. Elegante is in the building. I ain't seen Elegante all day. Elegante. I believe we have not had our best O-line start a game. This could be the game where we line up all our guys. That'd be amazing. We'll see, man. I'm going to keep my eyes on the injury report for sure. And Bookend Tackle says, man, negative vibes, bro. I feel you, man. So, look, I'll tell you this. Just for Bookend Tackles, I'm going to give y'all some positive vibes. I'm going to take the push on this one until after the Washington game here. So I got 3 pushes that I need to come back to because of the Washington game. We'll see how that goes, man. I see Steve Galvin is in the building. Shout out Steve Galvin in the building. Aziz, Neal, Bredesen, and Belger may return this Sunday, and that will be great. That'll be huge for us as Giants fans, man, and as this Giants team, goes into this pivotal stretch here, man, against a bunch of NFC East teams. It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough, man. But I'm looking forward to this, man. These next 3 weeks are going to be really fun. We got 3 matchups against NFC East teams, man. It's going to be a great way to end this year. It's coming down to the wire, y'all. And me and the Beard always talk about this. We can't ask for more. We just want to have meaningful football here in December coming up, and hopefully we got a shot here to make the playoffs. That's really all it's about. And I think we got one. We got to take care of business. A lot of Giants fans think that it's going to be easy to just go up against the Commanders and get that sweep, and that'll be the way we get in. But we've surprised some teams this year, y'all. We've definitely surprised some teams. So, I'm hoping and I'm banking on another surprise win from the New York Giants. I think, a team that like the Eagles possibly, if we can go out there and we can compete, hopefully we can get healthy. Who knows, man? Maybe there's a shot here, man. And, the Giants can make this run to the playoffs, because we know as Giants fans, as Eli Manning fans, all we got to do is get in. That's all we got to do. Let me see something here. I just got a text talking about my brother. Hey, man, you know what, man? Good vibes. Speaking of positive vibes, man, somebody just texted me and said, yo, your brother just helped me get my car out of the impound. It's a small world. And my brother, man, he works on cars. My dad was a mechanic. My brother's a mechanic, and he used to drive a tow truck for a while there. That's kind of interesting. And one of my homies just randomly got helped out by my bro. My bro just called me, too. I was wondering why he called me. I'm going to hit him up after this stream. But, moving forward, man, I just think the Giants got a really good shot here. And it's going to be interesting, man. I know y'all going to have y'all eyes on this NFC East race all the way through and through, man. It's going to be fun. Make sure y'all tell a friend about Awthentik and the Beard, man. We're going to be covering this whole situation, a bunch of individual games here. Couldn't ask for more, man. Only thing I would say is that they shouldn't have put the Commanders back-to-back against the Giants. That was a little bit interesting for sure. But, it is what it is. You got to play who's in front of you, like you talked about, man. And, hopefully these Giants can get some wins. Just keep my eye on this chat here. And OG Knockout said, hopefully they'll draft the right QB next year. And I like how you put that, man, because that's something we're going to worry about next year for sure, man. This year, we got to just ride with it, man. We got to just hope that Daniel Jones plays some good football. I seen people still talking about, we could lose some games and get a better draft stock. Man, I don't give a shit about what's going on with the draft stock right now, man. If we got to go trade up to get our quarterback, then trade up to do that. We got some good picks, in the bag here one time that we can use as capital to be able to trade if we need to, but for me, man, it's like I'm not thinking about the draft right now. I really ain't thinking about the draft right now. Next year when we get there, we'll get there. We definitely need some weapons. Whether or not we bring in a new quarterback or not, you still going to need some wide receiver help. And I don't know how they're going to do that. We're going to have a little bit more cap space, coming up into the next season. But there's not a lot of free agent wide receivers out there that the Giants can really bank on, bringing in. And we saw the Kenny Golladay experiment didn't work out well at all, man. But it's been a really good vibe, man. Good show here, man. 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm blessed to be able to be here with y'all and chop it up with y'all and be able to vent, about the New York Giants and give y'all my takes and my thoughts. That Odell Beckham segment was fire. I had a great time talking about that whole situation about Gettleman and all the trading and whatnot. If you missed that and you showed up late, that's one to go rewind and go check out. It definitely got a little bit heated. I see y'all beating me to it. Shout out No Mets and No Nets and No Jets, man. Let me see them biceps in the chat one time for the Giants Nation. Make sure to pull up on us tomorrow. We're going to be doing the more in-depth recap for the NFC East, talking about all 4 games. Sly, I see you, man. Thank you. Thank you, man. He says, feel better, brother. I'm congested as a mofo, too. It's just going around right now, I guess. But as usual, go Giants. Let's get it. We're still in this. We're still in the thick of it. That's facts, man. That's facts, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all keep rooting for this team, man. I'm not one of these dudes that's going to be up here rooting for no L's and rooting for players on my team to fail, man. I want to see these guys go out here and ball out. And the pattern, we talked about the pattern. For those of y'all that missed it, we talked about the pattern with Saquon Barkley. It's been 2 bad games after a good game. Saquon going to come out here. He going to do some damage against them Washington Commanders. Watch. Mark my word. We need to get healthy. That offensive line need to get some players back in that lineup. But Saquon going to have a big game. He going to have a big game here, man. Y'all definitely stay tuned this week. Y'all know what it is, man. Again, I appreciate all of y'all. I see my man Benjamin Noggle in the building still. Ben, that story, man, that's just an epic one. That one's going to go down in the record books, man. We're going to be old senior citizens talking about that one. Gregory, all y'all Cowboys fans that pulled up, salute to y'all too, man, because I like going around the internet and it not being toxic within the division. I ain't got no hate for the Cowboys, man. I'm not one of these fans that's like, oh, I hate the Eagles. Nah, man, they a whole nother team. I ain't worried about them. I'm only worried about the best division in football, and I'm worried about the best team in that division. And that team is my team. That's the New York Giants. Y'all know what it is. We coming for y'all, Cowboys. We coming for y'all, Eagles. All it takes is for us to get in them playoffs. That's all it takes. And Bluegrass, you already know.
Spike don't care.
You know what it is, man. I appreciate all of y'all pulling up, man, rocking with me. I'm very grateful, man, especially during this time of the year, man. Very grateful to have y'all here. And, we had about 100 in the building pretty much throughout the whole show, man. So that's major for us over here at Awthentik and the Beard. If you a new face, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you digging the vibes, man, we do this 4 days a week. We're committed to the New York Giants, and the Beard is committed to the Washington Commanders. And we're just committed to this division, man. We definitely try to raise the bar every show, and that's how we end every show. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all yourselves keep raising that bar, keep living those dreams, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Shout out and rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack. Y'all know what it is over here, man. We're going to try to keep them vibes positive as much as possible. And I see StreamYard kind of threw me a little bit of a loop here on one of my credit videos here, so we got to move this over here one time. But make sure y'all pull up tomorrow, man, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the evening. We'll be talking about this NFC East vibe one time. Y'all be good, man. Enjoy this, this next day and whatnot. And, go Giants. Every time. Y'all know what it is, man. Go Giants. Peace, y'all.
Spike don't care.